Any thoughts? And by the way, I'll throw this to the listeners, 314-436-7900. Any thoughts on everyone having to do this?
No matter if you've had a problem or not.
Right. Just it's going to be standard. The idea is that it would be standard on all cars. Now, there's a little more background, right? There have been more fatalities on the roadways in the last year or so than there were in the previous 16 years. So we're at a really high level of deaths on the roadways right now. It might even tie into what we were talking about with driving habits changing during the pandemic. People, having more open space, being more aggressive. Maybe they're continuing to do that. I know we heard that from Dallas Thompson, who's a Missouri State Trooper, on Total Information AM this morning, that people have kind of changed how they drive, and they haven't changed back with more cars being out on the road. So that's kind of at the root of this. They're calling it a crisis. There are too many people dying on the roads. It's like 43,000 last year. And this is one of the ideas that they're pursuing. And my question is, though, how many of those roadway deaths are DUI, DWI related? How many of them are just people driving excessively fast? I don't know that I have an automatic opposition to this, but I do have a little bit of an ick feeling to it.
And I see where you're coming from on that. It seems a little invasive, but the numbers are as follows. And this is from the story on KMOX.com, where you can read all about it. And you can also listen to the show on KMOX.com. That the most recent numbers they have available are from 2020. And about 11,500 people died in alcohol-related crashes. That was according to the NHTSA, which is about 30% of all the U.S. traffic deaths.
Okay.
And that's up 14% over the previous year of 2019. So the most recent figures we have are from a couple of years ago, but that is a dramatic uptick in alcohol-related deaths. So they're looking at, just less than a third of all of those traffic accidents that result in death are because somebody was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that, I understand the idea of it. And if I had learned to drive, and it was already a thing when I had learned to drive, I would probably not have too much opposition to it, because there are a number of other things you have to do. There are checklists that you're supposed to do when you get in your car. You're supposed to check your mirrors. You're supposed to check your tires. You're supposed to make sure everything's in order and your blinkers. Nobody does that, but you're supposed to do these things. If one of the steps was you also have to make sure that you're not over the limit before you start this car, I think I'd be used to it. And I personally don't have a problem with it, because it's not a behavior that I get involved with too much.
Well, yeah, I don't even drink, so it's not even a concern.
So it's not a problem for you. It's
No.
not really a problem for me. It's not really a problem for most people. But I feel like a lot of folks out there are going to feel like it's invasive.
I don't want to oppose it just on principle either, which is kind of my point. Like, I don't want to be as like, well, just another infringement on my personal space, whatever. I don't want it to be like that. My questions are more on a practical side of things. What happens when this thing breaks down? Because everything that's a part of an automobile can break down. Now, my car can break down and I have to have it towed and all that. But if I'm on my way to work and this stupid thing isn't reading right, and it won't start, my car won't start, is there an added level of difficulty? I don't know the answer to it.
That's a good question.
I think that's a legitimate question, because I don't know what the rate of malfunction is for these types of devices if they're functioning every day, right? Because if we're putting them on there, this is going to be every day, 365 days a year. So this thing, it can't malfunction on you. Otherwise, your car's not going to start. And by the way, also, the other thing I would want to know too is whether or not it's easily circumvented. Is there an easy workaround? Because I don't believe these are breathalyzers. I don't believe this is the case where you blow into a tube. I believe what they're talking about is technology that can sense some way, shape, or
through
form.
Your finger.
Through your fingers. Oh,
yeah,
can test your blood alcohol.
They can read your somehow. I don't know how that technology works, but there's a way to with light sensor, the looking through your finger. I guess the same way that a pulse oximeter works.
Right.
Maybe it's similar to that. Like, I still don't understand how a pulse ox works. It's amazing to me that they can
magic.
I know it's magic. They can put this thing on your finger and it can tell what your blood oxygen level is. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that?
Magic.
Show me, you wizard. But I guess it's similar technology to that. You can maybe figure out how much alcohol's in a person's blood.
Yeah, and again, I'm automatically totally opposed to it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's not a matter of like this is a I'm not vehement about this. I'm just asking the questions that I think need to be answered before you're going to be putting a system into 280 million cars. We have 280 million cars in the United States.
Yep.
Number one, who's paying for all that?
Well, they would want the companies
Okay,
to,
but
to
we're not all
install
going
it,
to have
and
we're
then
not
you
all
would.
going to have new cars in 3 years.
It would just be part of right. So it would be a very slow rollout
so
over the course of many years, and a lot of people might just buy cars that.
don't have them.
Well, maybe you can't. I don't know what they would do.
This
here.
is my point. It's
Yeah,
very
you would have to
complicated.
maybe you can't sell a car if it's not installed. Maybe you can't even if you're a used car dealership. You have to install one on a vehicle. Otherwise, there'd be a lot of people
again,
looking for used cars.
Who's paying for this?
They would want the companies to do.
Well, but that would mean us.
And so it would mean
because
us.
they're going to turn. They're not going to eat it. They're going to.
It would just be another charge,
right? It would be another thing on the cost of your car. And again, maybe it's worth it, right? We should.
Maybe.
I'm not all that worried about if it costs me an extra $100 or $200 as part of the purchase of an automobile. I mean, what's that going to affect my monthly payment? By 10 cents?
Right.
15 cents? It's not a very large amount when you're talking about a $30, $40, $50,000 purchase. So again, that may not be the argument against. It's just one of the questions that I'm asking. And how easy is it to circumvent, and how often does it malfunction? Like, what kind of maintenance do you need on it? Is it going to last 10 years without any problems? Is it going to be hinky? We got a text here from the 314 that says, so once I start my car, then I can start drinking in my car?
No, you can't start drinking in your car.
No, not legally. He means
don't do
with
it.
The sensor. No, he's talking about with the sensor.
I know, Kevin.
Ranji.
I know, Kevin. I'm making a joke. Let me do it.
It's not funny. No, I'm kidding.
Well, to you. That's yes. I mean, technically, yes, it doesn't prevent you from driving the car and then opening up a bush light once you start it. No, I
especially in the winter, you're going to be wearing gloves.
It is
so
a
once
weird.
the car's started, you put the gloves on. How's it going to know if you're sitting there pounding brewskis while you're driving down the highway?
It is kind of a weird.
Which, by the way, don't do.
Dichotomy here that we're a state where you can have open containers in the car. Like, I know you can't drive and drink, but you can have an open container elsewhere in the car, and people can be drinking in your back seat.
Yeah, your passengers.
I don't know. It's weird.
Well, this is why
it's a weird idea to me.
I'm not automatically opposed to this idea. I guess I'm saying I want to know more. I want to know more about the practical side of it. Again, how often does it malfunction? How often is it going to malfunction in the other way where it doesn't pick up somebody that's impaired? And they just get to drive. I mean, of course, that's no different than just being in a car without it. So I guess that's not really a factor. But I know this. If I'm in a car and my car won't start because of that thing when I'm on my way to work, I'm going to be real heated. And, look, maybe that inconvenience is worth saving however many lives it saves. I mean, I would want to know, give me the numbers. Like, okay, you mentioned, was it 14,000?
It was 11,600.
If it cuts that down at all,
yep.
Then, okay, maybe it's worth the extra cost.
Right.
I mean, we are talking about human lives. So I would want to have answers to the practical questions, but I'm not automatically opposed to it. It just makes me pause, right? It's not something I want to fight over. It's not something I really want to be angry about. It just makes me pause and say, all right,
yeah, I feel the same way about it.
It's kind of an extra step. It might be worth it, but it is an extra step, and you might want to get people's permission for that, but they didn't get our permission to, for example, put in seatbelt laws, right? I mean, nobody. It's only to protect you. It's not about protecting other people.
Sure.
So they can make that law. I mean, I don't know why you couldn't do a similar thing with this.
A text message to 314-436-7900 says, you guys are so concerned about people driving under the influence of alcohol, yet you're all for legalizing marijuana. That's just going to add to the impaired people driving. Well, you can't drive impaired with anything.
Right.
Alcohol, marijuana,
and there's another
doesn't
question,
matter.
though, is that kind of thing picked up by this sensor, too?
I'm sure they could figure that
technology
out.
It would have to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're both illegal.
And also, by the way, that's happening now, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that's not happening is nobody's generating tax revenue from it.
That's it.
because the same thing's happening either way. That's kind of the point about being pro marijuana. It's that it's happening already. Might as well do something good with it as well. All right, stick around. We got an interesting story that developed in the last couple of days involving an unsolved murder back in the 90s. We'll tell you about it next on the show.
There aren't many things I'm good at, but I was born with a talent for start. It's like the difference between poking someone with your finger a little bit and punching them as hard as you can. And that is what it feels like in the world where everyone is just rearing back and throwing haymakers so that 18 people will like their tweet. And there's a possibility it goes viral because I was so mean or I was so this or so that. And personally, it just kind of like, ugh.
A little snark and a whole lot more. The Dave Glover Show, weekdays at 2 on KMOX.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Carol Daniel here. Leslie Gill, president of Rung for Women, addresses the gender wage gap in our latest episode of PNC C-Speak, the language of executives. She advises employers to stop asking applicants for their previous salary and post the range. PNC C-Speak provides digital storytelling from a C-level perspective on relevant, forward-thinking business approaches. Listen to our 14-minute podcast with Leslie Gill at KMOX.com/PNC C-Speak. PNC C-Speak, the language of executives.
Hey, Mott's Matt here for Brewpub Lots of Mott's Pizza. You know, there are very few things in life worth waiting for. Pizza's done.
Oh, I'm on it. I'm starving. I've been waiting.
I wouldn't do that. It's going to be really...
It's so hot. It's burning my mouth.
A Brewpub Lots of Mott's Pizza it's the epitome of delayed gratification. So when your Brewpub pizza is done and the temptation to dive right in due to the deliciousness of every bite overwhelms you, step back, give it time, and know it's worth the wait. Brewpub Lots of Mott's Pizza is available in your local grocery store.
Right now is the perfect time to call Zero Res to deep clean and refresh your carpets, air ducts, upholstery, and more. Call 314-474-2020 to get 3-room Zero Res clean starting just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. ZeroResSTL.com.
Tom Ackerman for Building Community with Busey Bank, a podcast series easily accessible at KMOX.com/community banking. This summer, the Little Bit Foundation lost their huge warehouse and headquarters in the flood. It's both a heartbreaking and inspirational story, with Busey and the community helping. Listen to our September podcast, Building Community with Busey Bank, at KMOX.com/community banking.
At 10:30, we have sunny skies, 85 degrees. It feels like 89 downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. The U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to raise its key short-term rate by a substantial 0.75 of a point for the third consecutive time. Many Fed watchers will be paying particular attention to Chairman Jerome Powell's remarks at a news conference afterward. While he spoke at an economic conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming last month, he issued a blunt warning saying the Fed's drive to curb inflation by aggressively raising interest rates would bring some pain for Americans. President Biden is declaring that Russia has shamelessly violated the core tenets of the United Nations Charter with its, quote, brutal, needless war in Ukraine, end quote. The president today delivered a forceful condemnation of Russia's invasion to the international body, saying abuses against civilians in Ukraine should make your blood run cold. Iran's president insists that his country was serious about reviving a deal to put curbs on its nuclear program, but questioned whether it could trust America's commitment to any eventual accord. It is 10:31, taking a look at the commute. There's a stalled vehicle, 64 westbound to Spady Road. It's on the right shoulder, and a stall, 64 westbound past Timberlake Manor Parkway, that also on the right shoulder. Both of those incidents could be cleared up in about 10 minutes. There are emergency vehicles 70 eastbound to 270 on the right shoulder. That could be impacting traffic until about 11 this morning. The KMOX forecast: look for another hot day with sunny skies, a breeze. Look for a high under the record of 97 set in 1881. Right now it's sunny, 85. It feels like 89 downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
Hey guys, Mike Valeni for Cash the Ticket podcast. If you like sports betting or if you just like sports, it's the podcast for you. We try to cover all the big games and maybe some of the games you didn't even know were important. Give you some angles, pick some winners. have a good time, and hopefully help you meander through college and pro football season. So join us a couple times a week to get all your information you need to bet the games that you watch. It's Cash the Ticket on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Carol Daniel for Ophthalmology Associates. For the best eye doctors, you need to see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Online at yourEyeDoc.com or 314-966-5000.
Driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
I'm in a test plot near Portageville, Missouri that's dedicated to new Pioneer brand A-Series and List E3 soybeans. Row to row, it looks impressive. But what's more impressive is what you can't see with the naked eye. Exclusive and elite Pioneer genetics. And the performance makes it anything but a regular Enlist E3 soybean. From field to lab, Pioneer brand A-Series and List E3 soybeans are like no other.
Is your bank, brokerage, or your insurance company telling you to buy an annuity? They may have limited access to the best rates available. You need solutions, not someone pitching you a specific product. Call for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233. And also join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio.
Here's one thing you can do to beautify your property and help prevent stormwater pollution. Create a rain garden. Rain gardens help reduce polluted stormwater from entering waterways, which can hurt both water quality and the wildlife that inhabit them, and prevent water overflows. Excessive runoff can erode banks and increase flooding. Visit msdprojectclear.org to find out more about rain gardens and your flood risk. Know your zone. This One Thing message brought to you by MSD Project Clear. What's your one thing?
Keep up with all things Cardinals with Cardinals Conversations. Hear pre- and post-game shows. The latest from the manager and the front office. How Albert's doing.
Home run, Albert Pujols.
To replays of Live by Lowe's and much more. Cardinals Conversations. Available now on the podcast page at KMOX.com.
All right, 10:35 on the show. Chris Ranji, Kevin Wheeler with you here. And went into a story that has taken a big step here in recent days. And it's really a story of some cold cases that have been brought into the light by continuing investigations. Police Detective Sergeant Jody Weber from the O'Fallon, Missouri Police has been looking into cold cases, looking at DNA testing to try to figure out some of these cold cases. And one of those has come back to an accused serial killer who is already in prison for a different murder. I want to talk a bit about this, the process for it, what's going to happen next. And we have St. Charles prosecuting attorney Tim Lomar with us on the phone lines. Tim, first of all, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And secondly, this seems like a really unique thing to have to prosecute and go through. How different is this than something that's a little bit more contemporary?
Yeah, well, thanks for the invitation to be with you guys this morning. This is a situation that it brings a lot. It's bittersweet. It brings a lot of joy and closure to the victims' families, to the investigators involved. But then it really just brings home the point that, boy, this family had to suffer for, in this case, 30 years until they got some sense of closure. So these are pretty powerful cases, and we're proud to be a part of them.
So you had 4 women in the early 90s over about a 6-month period that all disappeared. And as you mentioned, that's a long time for family members to not really know what happened. I mean, they know these women disappeared. They don't know why it happened or how it happened. So to get that kind of closure for the family members that are still around, what sort of reaction are you getting from them? It's got to be a lot of people being really grateful about this.
Yeah, it really was. We had a press conference the other day. Myself, Wesley Bell, and Mike Wood from Lincoln County. Each of the 3 of us has at least one of the murder cases in our jurisdiction, and the room was packed with numerous family members. Right now, we know of 4 victims, and there's a good chance that the identity of a 5th victim is going to be discovered here. in the very near future. So just to have these families there, to have them finally, recognize their loved one, because this got news coverage, of course, back 30 years ago, but even back then, the news cycle was pretty quick, and once it was over, it was over. It was sort of out of the public's consciousness, and so I think for these families to see that not only are their deceased family members remembered and honored, but we're going to take it a step further and finally bring some justice and accountability to the person who was responsible for this.
Obviously, 73-year-old Gary Muehlberg is the one accused of these killings. He's already in prison for a different murder. And I know I mentioned at the beginning the challenges of this. It's certainly now linked with DNA evidence going to be certainly a starting point for you guys. But you mentioned this is a case that's fairly old. But you in fact, it sounds like you've gotten help from the alleged killer himself who confessed and essentially is trying to come clean on these.
Yeah, so you mentioned Detective Sergeant Jody Weber. She was the person who spearheaded this investigation going on 14 years ago. So when it came time for her to do the interview to be done, I should say, of our suspect who was linked by the DNA, she was far and away the first choice to do that. So she took the lead on that, and she tells the story better than I can. But she said it was almost as if Muehlberg said, I was expecting you guys. What took you so long? And I'm finally glad that you asked me the question, because I'm going to give you an answer. And it wasn't as if he was crystal clear in his answers. And a lot of it's due to the fact that it has been 30 plus years, but then some of it's probably due in part to the fact that people like to somewhat whitewash their actions when they're not proud of them. But nonetheless, he was cooperative, and that was part of the deal. The three prosecutors agreed to waive the death penalty in exchange for his full cooperation, and so far he's lived up to his end of the bargain.
So when did your involvement start to happen here? What was the first moment somebody said, "Hey, I think we've got something here"?
I probably met with Jody about these cases, I would say 3 or 4 years ago. So you're talking about 2019, 2018. And at the time, it was, we had a list of suspects who had pretty much been eliminated, not entirely, but Jody's big push was to try to get the evidence tested. And, it's not like a CSI where you can just walk into the lab and have a item tested and you have a result in 15 minutes or before the commercial break. It's a labor intensive process, especially when you've got 30-plus-year-old items of evidence. So she knew where she might likely to be to find the DNA evidence, and she gathered that and she orchestrated that, and that's how we got it.
So moving forward, I guess, how fast should we expect this kind of thing to proceed? Is this, we already know that he's serving time for murder already. I believe also has a cancer diagnosis. So I guess just kind of take us through like what's next. And obviously, this is finding a way to get justice in some form for these women that were murdered back in the 90s. But I'm not sure that anything changes for Muehlberg, right?
Yeah, and that was part of the negotiations with him, for lack of a better word. He was very clear that he understands he's not going anywhere for the rest of his life, and he didn't want his situation in prison to be changed in any significant way, and it won't be if he's found guilty and accountable for these murders. Next steps, I think the three prosecutors, we've agreed we're going to kind of take a west first approach. So Lincoln County is going to try to go first, then we'll go, and then St. Louis County will go. And that assumes that we have to prepare this case for trial. It's quite possible that we could wrap this up relatively quickly if in fact he does agree to formally plead guilty and accept responsibility.
How many other cold cases, and I don't know how much experience you have with that specifically as a prosecutor. I'm sure there's at least a little bit. So how much experience do you have with it, and how unusual is this compared to some of the others?
Probably the one that stands out to me the most is the Angie Hausman case that was solved by DNA evidence. I guess it's going on 3 or 4 years ago now. We don't have a lot of cold cases, but we do have several of them that are in the works. As I like to say, cold cases never die; they just go cold. So with the advancements in the DNA technology, I think we're going to have a lot more successes with our cold cases. And I think I could even envision a time in the not so distant future that we don't have cold cases. We have the technology and the advancements in DNA, all those things together. I think we're going to get to a point where it's going to be a rare occasion to not have a case that's solved.
Tim, thanks so much for the update on all of this. Hopefully all goes smoothly, and hopefully, I know nothing really totally brings the family's complete closure. They're still dealing with the missing loved ones, and obviously have been dealing with that for a long time. But hopefully this does provide something for them moving forward. We appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take care.
You got it. That is St. Charles Prosecuting Attorney Tim Lomar. You imagine this, Ranj, like being in that position where a family member goes missing, and I would think, having not been in this position, you would think that after a period of time, you're just assuming that they're never going to find whoever did it. And I'd be, I don't know how I'd feel, to be honest with you. If there was some closure, I guess that would probably be better than not knowing, but it doesn't bring back your loved one.
It doesn't. No, it's got to help a little bit, because the unknown for a lot of people, and I think I'd be the same way, the unknown of having no idea what the hell happened. I think the torment of that would be worse than knowing what actually happened, even if what actually happened was pretty horrific. I think I'd need to know that, because you'd spend your entire life wondering what happened. Like, where did this person go? Were they taken? They had to have been taken, right? No, they ran away. Like, no, that couldn't have been it. You never can reconcile anything if you have no idea what happened. And it also makes me think, by the way, I don't recall that string of murders. I don't remember that. And not to say that it wasn't a story, because clearly it was a story at the time in 1990, but I didn't remember that. I didn't remember hearing about the 1983 murder of the girl in the West End, the little girl. I think she was about 8 or 9. And, they called her Little Jane Doe. And there's the new documentary that's either out or coming out about it. And I'm hoping to get the filmmaker on the show at some point here, because that's one of those, right at the time it happened, was a couple of years or a few years after the Adam Walsh thing happened. And for people who don't remember that was a young boy, 5 or 6, was in a store with his parents and was abducted, and then was found later. He had been killed, decapitated. And when I was a kid, I remember that being a thing that parents were afraid of, like more afraid of abduction then than maybe any other time. And, you'd have to go to get your fingerprints taken. I remember that, which was a really odd thing. Went to the St. Louis Fair. It was the VP Fair at the time. And they had a booth where parents could bring their kids to get their, fingerprints taken. So the police had them just in case something happened to you. And what a terrifying thing to go through, and for parents to be worried about.
It was interesting. That was a big thing in the 80s too. The child abduction stories. I mean, when I was I think it was big like that in the 70s too. For whatever reason, the 70s were really busy when it came to high profile serial killers. And
we started to learn about them.
Oh my God. When I was a kid, I remember hearing about Son of Sam, and we're all like, what?
Yep.
Should we never go outside again? Like it was, but as a kid, you're obviously not understanding that that's somewhere else, not where you are. But horrible story, but at the very least, it sounds like some justice will be served on it. And hopefully the family members do get something out of it. I can't put myself in that position. I've tried many times when I read about stories like this, or when I've seen, movies that are reliving some of these types of stories. I don't even know how I would process it, to be honest with you. So hopefully something positive comes of it from the family's perspective, although I know the hurt is not going to go away. All right. Next up, we're going to tell you what's trending coming up here on the show.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at ThrottleNet. These are the genius IT guys that I've been representing for years and years now. We are number one all the time. Best in customer service from Small Business Monthly. Best in cybersecurity, again, Small Business Monthly. We have an average response time. I love this statistic. The average response time in St. Louis in 2020 by IT companies. You have a problem, you reach out to them, hey, I'm all shut down, help me. It was 3 hours. If you got back within 3 hours, you were cool. Ours was 1 minute, 57 seconds, and the guys were very unhappy with that. It takes less than 2 minutes for us to address your problems. Here's a huge thing. We are now offering $500,000 in ransom protection to everyone who uses us. This is part of the deal. You don't pay extra for it. So if you happen to be hit and you have to pay, we're going to pay it up to $500,000. Now, this shows you how confident we are because no one under our protection has ever had to pay. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS.
Let's talk real estate for a minute. The St. Louis market is kind of tricky for home sellers right now, with home values going down and not selling as quickly. Now is not the time to risk losing precious equity on your home. This is Debbie Monterey, and I always recommend calling Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's the best. She's experienced every type of market, both good, great, and the not so good. So before you list your home for sale, call Gloria, and here's why. Gloria Liu will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, guaranteed in writing. Gloria already has the buyers, thousands of buyers in her database. In fact, your home may already be sold. Gary and Angela called Gloria and sold their home even before it listed because Gloria had several buyers looking for a home in that area. Call Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or find her online at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Attention veterans. If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. Cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. Congress is now holding the government accountable. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering, but you must act now. Visit sickvets.com for your free case review by True Law. That's sickvets, like veterans.com. sickvets.com. Visit sickvets.com.
Carol Daniel for Chesterfield Fence and Deck, one of St. Louis's top names in home improvement. Last month, my oldest brother was visiting from Virginia and took our 91-year-old father fishing in our backyard. Man, I love those pictures so much. What a memory they made. And that's what can happen in your backyard. What should happen in your backyard. Chesterfield Fence and Deck wants to help you create the setting that will be perfect for all the memories you're going to make. The 50th birthday party on your cedar deck, the proposal your son plans to make under the pergola, and the blanket you'll crochet for your granddaughter in your custom sunroom. The project consultants and craftsmen know that's what they're designing and building for, a place to make memories. You'll get a free in-home estimate from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Call 636-532-4054. That's 636-532-4054. Mention my name, Carol Daniel, and get 20% off your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Learn more now at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
Get started with the Vision Walk today and form your Vision Walk team to raise money for a cure. For more information, go to visionwalk.org or call 314-852-7223.
Transform your home into the most beautiful home in the neighborhood with Banner Construction. St. Louis's preferred James Hardy and Pella window expert. Add curb appeal and value to your home. Call Banner Construction, 314-569-1050.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 314-441-4444. Chris Ranji.
Wonderful bones, great eyes, and you dress really interesting.
On the show.
What is it? What's happened?
What's going on? What do you know?
What just happened?
What happened?
I need to know.
Trending now on the show.
All right, trending is sponsored by Old Town Donuts in Florissant and Cottleville. Well, there's one thing trending over everything else right now. In fact, it was beginning to break right when we were going to that last break. And that's the news that the New York Attorney General is filing a $250 million lawsuit against former President Donald Trump.
The Letitia James is the New York Attorney General. That's what they're seeking to do. They're also seeking to ban, and this is from her Twitter account, ban the Trumps from running New York businesses for good, ban Trump and Trump organizations from buying commercial real estate in New York for 5 years, and they are making a criminal referral to the U.S. Department of Justice. So it's him and his family, it looks like.
And if we hear any more news, we'll play it. I don't know anything more than that because it's all happening. I think the press
happening right
conference
now.
is still happening at the moment. So I don't know that we have more information than just what's been put out there already. I know this, as we've talked about with other things, you have to be able to make your case, like prove it, because the more these things pop up and just go away, the more it looks bad to the people that like the former president.
Well,
I mean, it's not a reason not to do it.
I still don't.
Just saying, at some point, you got to make the case.
I don't think you do this unless you have something because of the profile nature of it. But I've got a cynical mindset about it. I don't think anything's going to come of it.
No, and that's
like, even if there's
problem.
a lot of evidence, I just don't think anything's going to come of it. Here's what she also said. We found that, and this is again from the New York Attorney General, we found that Trump, his family, and the Trump Organization used fraudulent and misleading asset valuations over 200 times in 10 years on his annual financial statements. These statements were then used to obtain hundreds of millions of dollars in loans and insurance coverage.
Again, these types of things should be provable on paper.
They should be.
Right? I mean, if you should be able to track it and see these are the returns. This is what was claimed. Like, this shouldn't be open to interpretation, I wouldn't think. But I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so maybe I'm wrong about that. But I don't even know. Like, when I hear these types of things, I immediately just go right into cynical mode, as you mentioned. I go right into, okay, so everything that's come up before has led to absolutely nothing. And I know what this is going to do, especially if you can't prove it. There's gonna be even a further divide, which means doesn't mean don't do it. It means better make the case.
Well,
same thing we're talking about with the January 6th hearings, which, by the way, are coming back, I think, on September 28th. I think will be the final one of those. I mean, if you're not going to make convincing cases, it's going to divide people even more. And even if you do make a convincing case, it might continue to do that.
Yeah, and so that's why you can't worry about it. You can't worry about dividing people who don't want to hear it. And I'm not.
I mean, I think we have. I'm not saying
they can't get any more divided.
Maybe not. And I'm not saying that you don't follow evidence if you think you have it. But I do think it matters if you can bring more people into the fold. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we just write and say, well, they're never going to believe anything. You got to try to convince people.
You have to make the attempt.
You have to have something solid, though. And in the past, nothing has stuck.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there wasn't solid stuff there, because sometimes, and again, when this comes to white-collar crime in particular, and I think we just talked about this yesterday. I don't know if it was on the air or in the office, but white-collar crimes in general, they have got to be prosecuted. Those people need to be punished. For wealthy people need to be punished for defrauding cities, states, other people more often than they do, because a lot of times those people skate. And just as a society at large, we got to stop letting those people skate. I don't care what the white collar crime is. We need to be prosecuting these people, and they need to go to jail when it's warranted. I don't care who it is, what they've done. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Hunter Biden. I don't give a crap. People with positions of power and wealth have to be held accountable better than they are in this country.
I mean, that would mean holding them accountable at all. As a general rule, even when
you have money, you can get out of stuff.
Even when they are held accountable, it's never to the same level as you or I would be.
I know.
I mean, things that would put
and that's the point.
I know. Things that would put you and I in jail don't have that impact on people that's above a certain level. I'm not exactly sure what that level is, but when you can afford the best of the best when it comes to defense attorneys, when it comes to influencing people. And I mean, we look past it all the time. And I would argue that a lot of the people that have committed those crimes, for example, during the housing bubble with the loans.
Oh, all those people. Nothing happened to any of them.
I mean, those things did a lot more damage than any individual drug dealer ever did. Or
they all skate.
Yeah.
They all skate.
Waiting for the break of day.
At Busey Bank, we understand you have a vision for your future, and we're committed to helping you achieve your dreams. Since 1868, we've invested in recruiting and retaining the best and brightest associates. Busey's unique culture is one that values and supports you, provides opportunities for growth, and is much more than a job. It's a career. Build relationships, build community, and build your career at Busey Bank, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini.
Enjoy the show from wherever you are with the MLB app. Download for free to gain access to in-game highlights, pitch-by-pitch features, and more, all from your mobile devices. Show support for your favorite team with customizable MLB club-branded icons, and tune in to exclusive premium content for every team in the league. Baseball is everywhere with the MLB app. The #1 source of live baseball on your Apple and Android devices is the official app of Major League Baseball. Download the MLB app today. Additional subscriptions may be required.
Goodwill and St. Louis Union Station have teamed up to take you under the sea and over St. Louis. When you donate a car, running or not, you can receive 4 tickets to the St. Louis Union Station's aquarium and wheel. Donating a car to Goodwill is quick and easy, and towing is free. Plus, you'll get a good feeling from donating to a charity that does so much in our community. For more information, visit mersgoodwill.org.
Suburban Leisure Center has Adirondack chairs in stock and on sale now. Our amazing Adirondack chairs come in 16 colors and in lots of styles. Gliders, rockers, tables, and chairs. We even make an Adirondack chair with a pull-out ottoman. Also, many can be made to order. Hurry into Suburban Leisure Center now on Olive, 1 mile west of 141, or check us out at suburbanleisurecenter.com, home of the Big Red Chair.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services offered through All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuity products offered through Stephen All, Missouri license 8039738.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
In business since 1957, we've seen many competitors come and go. Hi, I'm Chuck Easter with Easter Fence Deck and Renovations. Many companies pass away with the owners, and their customers are left with useless promises and warranties. At Easter, we are in the 3rd generation and have a succession plan. You know we'll be here to honor our warranty, which is the best in the industry, and take care of all of your fence, deck, and outdoor construction needs. Call 314-892-8500 or easterfence.com.
Easter Fence Deck and Renovations, where customers become friends.
Hi, Kent Newbold for Newbold BMW. Your BMW is worth more than ever before, so don't trust your maintenance to a bunch of amateurs. Come see the factory-trained technicians at Newbold BMW in O'Fallon, Illinois, or at newboldbmw.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
Dell Technologies semi-annual sale has arrived, and it's time to save big on PCs with Windows 11 Pro. Plus, get great deals on top accessories, including docks, monitors, and more. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news, KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, it's a sunny sky and 87 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour. New York's Attorney General sued former President Donald Trump and his company today, alleging business fraud involving some of its most prized assets, including properties in Manhattan, Chicago, and Washington, D.C.
It was a scheme that, by its very nature, became more profitable over time. And it is all in stark violation of the law.
Attorney General Letitia James' lawsuit filed in state court in New York is the culmination of the Democrats' 3-year civil investigation of Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization. Trump's 3 eldest children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric Trump, were also named as defendants, along with 2 longtime company executives, Alan Weisselberg and Jeffrey McConney. An attorney for Trump said the lawsuit is, quote, neither focused on the facts nor the law. The storm that has literally made Puerto Rico powerless is still gaining strength on its way north.
I'm Tom Foti. After causing catastrophic damage to Puerto Rico as a Category 1 storm, Hurricane Fiona keeps getting stronger and stronger with Bermuda in its path. Early this morning, it was upgraded to a very strong Category 4. Philip Pappen with the National Hurricane Center.
The system is going to be growing in size over the next couple of days, and that's going to produce some significant seas across the eastern seaboard. And so there's going to be a significant wave and rip current threat for the eastern United States coastline.
And much of Puerto Rico remains without power with bad memories of Hurricane Maria 5 years ago. Tom Foti, CBS News.
Prop P money is being put to use building 2 new police precincts.
Police Department identified many years ago the need for a new police precinct in North County,
In South County, the space was cramped. The South County precinct was uninhabitable. And before we could build a new precinct, they actually had to move to a leased space.
St. Louis County Executive Sam Page says that leased space is too small, making it impossible to safely process and hold suspects. The 2 new precincts will cost $27.6 million. Construction in South County set to begin October 3rd, in North County on October 17th. Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
2 people who wish to remain anonymous claim a massive lottery jackpot.
Illinois lottery officials say the 2 winners of the $1.33 billion Mega Millions drawing have claimed their prize, opting to take and split the lump sum payout of more than $780 million. The lottery says the pair has spent the past few weeks working with professional legal and financial advisors on the claims process. The jackpot, the nation's 3rd largest, grew because there were 29 straight no-winner draws from April 15th until the July 29th winner. The winning ticket was sold at a gas station in a Chicago suburb. I'm Tim McGuire.
A nearly 100-day streak of declining gas prices ended today with the average cost for a gallon of regular at $3.68 nationally. Tom Closa with the Oil Price Information Service.
Inflation, at least on the gasoline side, has been controlled for now. There's a lot of other elements where it hasn't. I suspect that we'll probably see gas prices cede the limelight to heating oil, natural gas, and diesel prices for the next few months. And then we start in the spring with the same old petronoia that we have every year, where gas prices will probably go up.
StLouisGasPrices.com says the average here, $3.39 a gallon. The First Med Bank and Trust business desk, it's getting crowded in the cereal aisle.
What do you do when inflation's cutting into your food budget?
Time to reach for my trusty Cheerios.
General Mills is reporting higher sales in the first quarter, boosted by consumers opting to eat at home instead of dining out. But when you factor in raw materials, labor, freight, and fuel, the cost of making cereal and cake mix is up an estimated 15%. General Mills hopes to avoid passing it on to shoppers as sales continue to increase. Overall, the Labor Department says food prices in the U.S. rose 13.5% in August compared with a year before. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Dow from Stifel up 147 points. Dean DeVore's forecast is sponsored by STL Windows Direct. Breeze today, high near the record of 97. A thunderstorm this evening with a low 62. Tomorrow's high 70. It's 87 degrees downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Not all windows are created equal. See things more clearly with an STL Windows Direct window. Compare the difference at STLWindowsDirect.com. STLWindowsDirect.com.
STL Windows Direct. The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
11:05 on the show. Chris Raji, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Amy will be back tomorrow. But Amy blew the surprise, by the way, by going on Twitter and saying she had a story about a bear.
Well, I don't know who's following her, so maybe some people didn't hear it.
It'll be a fun story, though.
It will be.
We get that story coming up tomorrow, and a few other, obviously, things we've actually, we've had a few stories we wanted to get into, but we were holding back to have the full team assembled so that we can get into them in a lot more detail than we would just with us. Because, I mean, like, you know, I think it's good. Like a certain kind of story is fun to get, like the three of us just picking on each other. You know?
I don't think that's very nice.
Well, you do it all the time, so why wouldn't you think it's nice?
I do.
Pick on all of us?
I do?
Yeah, we pick on each other, like you and me. And
oh,
yeah.
I'm really sorry.
No, you're not.
No,
you're not. Now, on that note, it's a weird way. It's a weird way to transition into this.
Transition.
See what we do here, and some people that have listened. I think it's getting less frequent, Raj. I do think people that are listening now get the dynamic between the three of us a bit more than they did, say, at the beginning when they thought we were being mean to each other. In reality, we're just messing with each other. That's a whole different thing than you have in some other workplaces. And what I want to do, we're going to open up the phone lines. Well, I guess we can. 314-436-7900. You can certainly text us at that number or leave a voicemail at 314-944-1120. Want to take the temperature of people who have had workplace confrontations or seen them, you know, in one way or another, either being a part of it or being an observer of one, and where the line is between an argument maybe gets heated versus one that crosses the line to, like, you know what, you can't work here anymore. And reason we're bringing this up, obviously, we brought up the story yesterday of Vic Faust and the argument that he had. I don't know what you call it, an argument or him berating his co-host. And it was recorded. It was off air, but it was recorded by somebody in the studio.
It started on air and it spilled off into the break.
Right. So it was harsh.
Yeah.
I mean,
he told her she was a bad mother.
Yeah.
Called her fat.
And lots of other names. And
what a jerk.
I'm not as worried about people swearing at each other. Swearing is swearing. It's not the end of the world. But if you're going so far with personal insults, I think that there's, the question now is what's going to happen to him, right? Especially on the TV side. Because it didn't happen there, and certainly, image matters in our business. And I feel like if one of us had gone that far against an employee, against a coworker,
we should be fired.
We would probably be let
and we
go.
Should be,
and I think rightfully so.
Anybody should be.
And that's kind of the question here is for our listeners to jump in on, not specifically about this case because we don't have anything more than the audio tape, and it's bad. I mean, if you listen to it, it's bad. Yeah. But we've all had some form of confrontation at work. And clearly there is a place where you draw a line. And I think the line, Ranj, is when argument gets personal and you start with insults to someone's, family, body, background, ethnicity, religion. Like you start crossing into those things and getting really personal. I think that's where the line is.
And I don't know what happened.
As opposed to just arguing and fighting.
Yeah, I don't know what happened leading up to it. If she had done the same thing to him before and he just kind of let it go, I guess that's possible. Yeah. I don't think it's likely. I think he's probably just a hothead.
But that's why this is not a question about that incident, because we don't have the other background.
No, don't know. But
we've all been in workplaces where stuff happens.
Well, if you engage in that behavior and you're in our business, you should lose your job. And if you want to work somewhere else, go to Billings, Montana, because that should be over for you here. Because that's how it's as you said, it's bad for image. It makes the stations you work for, and he works for Fox 2, and he works for this other station I've never heard of. And it makes them look bad. And what's interesting is until up to this point, I don't believe Fox has made a comment about it, though they have been asked. They have been repeatedly asked, the general manager and people in charge over there. But as of last night, had not made some kind of statement. You have to say at least something. If it's, we're looking into it, we don't know what happened, we're looking into it, we're investigating. You got to say something. But that kind of stuff can't happen. I don't care if it's retaliation for something else. You can't do that stuff. You've got to treat people you work with respect. And like you said, we all make fun of each other, but we can do that because we all know that we're all doing it to one another and it's all in fun. It's not serious. I'm not questioning the kind of person you are or Amy is. We don't do that kind of crap around here. It's nonsense to get involved in that kind of behavior. I personally, I don't know. I've seen a guy probably act in a way he shouldn't have acted. I've seen it a couple of times, but nothing
crossing the line.
I mean, name calling, but not like you don't know how to treat your family or. You're fat or nothing like that.
Yeah, everybody has a different line. I mean, that's part of the issue is when you're, and it's why businesses and companies tend to err on the side of being more aggressive in enforcement because, what might not bother me, I'm pretty insensitive when it comes to people insulting me. I don't really care. You call me anything in the world, I'm probably not going to be crushed by it. I'll be like, I might yell at you. I might curse back at you. But it's not something that I take as it
doesn't hurt your feelings.
No, I mean, I don't think I have feelings, but I do. But I know for a fact that going personal is probably the general line that we have to go with in a workplace environment. I've had a few over 25 years, a few moments where you've had a shouting match with a coworker. Thankfully, never at KMOX. I mean, it's not that kind of environment, to be honest with you. But certainly back in the old sports radio network days, we're talking like mid to late 90s, early 2000s with some people around that were giant pains in the butt. And, you clash for a little bit, you yell at each other, maybe you drop some bombs on each other with swear words, and then that's it, right? You're not getting into someone's family, someone's marriage, someone's ethnicity, someone's heritage, their weight, anything. Because to me, the minute you go there,
yeah,
you had now crossed the line.
Yes.
From a disagreement to some attempt to cause damage, right? I mean, like when you're going there, the whole point is to inflict some kind of damage.
That goes beyond we're arguing because we disagree to I'm just a raging a-hole and I can't. The only way I know how to express it is to insult you personally because I'm a butthole. Like that's all that is. And so I think there should be, and I'm assuming in most places there's zero tolerance of that, because if there isn't, that is probably at minimum that's a lawsuit. You would think if an employee gets berated by another employee, notifies management, hey, this just happened, and there are witnesses, people saw it and heard it, and in fact I've even got it recorded so you can hear the whole thing, and you allow that to continue, I'm sure that's a lawsuit. But it shouldn't even have to be a lawsuit. It should just be, that's not going to fly here. We don't treat people that way. Just be better. Be a better person. It's not that difficult to do. And we're not going to tolerate somebody who can't be a better person, because you know why? There are a lot of people out there as talented as you and maybe even more talented who don't do that stuff. So we can replace you in a minute. And that's how all companies should look at behavior like that. And people for themselves, before they start to act like that, should stop themselves and realize I'm replaceable. So I'm not going to be a butthole today or ever.
Not
it's
that way.
Not like that. Well, I mean, I can be the kind of butthole I am, but that's different. I'm a fun butthole, Kevin.
Oh my God.
What? You don't think I am?
Well, no, I do. That's why I'm laughing. But you're right. It's in the silly way and not in the jerky way.
Thank you.
And the people do. I've gotten a few things, not on this particular story, but when other things have come up, when somebody like a boss berates, somebody they supervise or something along those. I've had people bring up that, people are too soft. They can't take it. They can't. I would agree if the subject matter is your work. If the subject matter, if your boss is chewing you out because you're failing to live up to what the requirements of your job are, and maybe even if they say a bad word or two here and there, that to me is not crossing a line. But when, again, it's the moment that you go personal. It's the moment that it goes from here's what's happening on the job to this is about you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about, again, it doesn't really matter what it is about you when it gets to be about the person and not the action. And I would say this, we're talking about the workplace. I would say this just in general. Like if you're, as an example, if you're coaching people of any age, if you're criticizing the performance or the work being put in, that's one thing. If you're criticizing the person, that's a different thing. That's a different line that you shouldn't cross.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah. And I have worked with somebody like that in the past who get borderline personal with people if he didn't agree with them because he was a giant baby and didn't know how to handle himself. And I think it's just an immaturity when you do something like that. But you kind of have to, stop yourself. Grow the hell up, man. You can't. I don't know how you can get to be however old this person is. I don't know. The Faust. What's his first name? Tim? Well, I don't know. Whatever. Faust.
Jeez, dude.
What's his name? Vic?
He's right there.
I'm not even looking at it. I don't care. Screw this guy. Who cares? But like, how do you be and he looks like he could be 30s, I don't know, 40s, but how do you get to be that old?
I think he was at Mizzou in the 90s.
Okay, so then he's in his late 40s, probably. How do you get to be that age and not know how to act around people?
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's always that way. I mean, occasionally you just lose it. You're in a bad place and you go too far, and for some people it's a pattern of behavior.
I'm going to guess.
I don't know enough about this.
I don't know him at all. I didn't know who he was until this story came out, but I'm going to assume.
Don't assume.
I'm going to assume that this is probably a pattern of behavior.
Well, I mean, I'm
going to guess. I don't know for sure. I'm going to guess.
All right. I don't assume anything. So Ron can
you don't
assume
have to.
Whatever he wants.
You don't have to, but in my mind, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And I am admitting it's only an assumption. I could be wrong about it, but I bet I'm right.
We can agree. And you guys want to chime in, we'll get some of your thoughts in a little bit. 314-436-7900. Not specifically about this, but just in general, where's your line? Because the line moves. There are people that are more, are put it this way. There are some people that are intensely offended if you swear at them. Intensely. And again, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong.
Just
I'm saying
using swear words.
everybody's right. Everybody's line is a little bit different, which is why I think we see employers a lot of times err on the side of being more aggressive in enforcing these types of things as opposed to more forgiving.
But there are some lines that are clear.
Yeah, personal.
And what this dude did is absolutely one of them.
All right. So next up, we talk a lot about influence of social media. Most of the time we talk about the bad influence. There are occasions where it's a good thing that we want to get into, where it maybe, problem got solved because people teamed up together and worked with each other to fix said problem. But then there are others, like the ones we're going to talk about next up, where, well, it's just a lot of dumb stuff being floated and it's actually hurting people. Like the NyQuil chicken challenge.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that next up on the show.
Been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to The Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
If your business has 5 or more employees and you made it through COVID, you survived a tough couple of years, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. And this isn't a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. And I know the challenge is getting your hands on it. That is where we can help you out at Innovation Refunds. Go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys they've put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program and have already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that saw an increase in sales. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and then answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited amount of time, so you don't want to miss out. Go to getrefunds.com.
We are all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. September is World Ozone Month, so it's a great month to get rid of all your aerosol sprays and harsh cleaning products. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. For about 25 years, I've been a patient at Ophthalmology Associates, the home of the doctor's doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andrew Royer. Also, my wife and kids and sister are also patients there for their eye care. After all, these doctors have 3 convenient locations, an excellent, experienced staff, the latest technology, and a modern optical department on location. They're also available for emergency calls. And did you know? These doctors treat more doctors than any other practice in St. Louis. They spend a lot of time with their patients. They don't rush you in and out. When you meet them, you immediately realize they care about you and your eyesight, and they're extremely knowledgeable about eye care, and they can answer all your questions. That's why I go to and recommend Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000, yourEyeDoc.com.
Why are some people afraid to enjoy their retirement? And why are some people so worried about spending money during their golden years? Maybe it's because they're afraid of running out of money. Maybe they're afraid of depleting their nest egg, either through spending too much or through investment strategies that could result in losses. Hi, my name is Ken Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. Do you have a fear of depleting your savings and running out of money too soon? Let me help put your mind at ease. I can help you create an optimal retirement income distribution strategy that helps to maximize income from your retirement savings and eliminate your fear of running out of money. Call 314-328-4400 today and schedule your complimentary retirement roadmap review with our team. That's 314-328-4400. Again, 314-328-4400.
Heisey Advisory Group provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Brown. The physicians at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
We go where you go. 1120 AM, 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
All right, back in on the show. Chris Ranji, Kevin Wheeler here. Amy is back from vacation tomorrow. Ron, you want some NyQuil chicken for lunch?
Yep.
You want NyQuil chicken?
Yep. I want to try it. I heard it's a thing.
Well, I don't know how big of a thing it is, and that's kind of the interesting part. But essentially, this is what happened. There were apparently a couple of accounts that posted videos of themselves and giving instructions. You know, there are a lot of cooking videos on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people will show you different and quote unquote interesting ways to make food. A lot of times there are other accounts that are like professional chefs who critique these things and say, this is horrible. It's a terrible idea. That's going to be awful, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, food is a thing on TikTok. And one of the latest ones has been people demonstrating how to cook your chicken in NyQuil, which according to, well, everybody who knows anything about medical things can be very dangerous to you because of the way that this works. So first of all, why would anybody even think to do it? Why would you? What's the point? Like, I'm not sure I get it at all.
Well, Kevin, when you're feeling sneezy, coughy, achy with stuffy head, fever, and you want to rest.
Okay.
I think you don't always just want to take the shot of NyQuil. Too easy. You want to try something a little different. The thing about life is you're trying to spice it up a little bit.
Okay.
Every now and then.
Anyway.
You want to do the same thing over and over again. So what these people are doing is they're marinating it in the NyQuil because they have cold symptoms, and that's how they're consuming the NyQuil. The problem is, according to the story on KMOX.com, is when you're cooking it, this is just one of the problems, but first of all, people are using too much, but also when you're cooking those vapors and you're standing over the stove cooking this, or you're frying the chicken or whatever, you're inhaling the vapors and you're not supposed to do that. So that in itself is also very dangerous.
By heating these things up, you're actually changing how they work. You're changing the composition of in this case, of the medicine that you're using. Again, this is from the FDA. This is not Dr. Ranji and Dr. Wheeler. You know, this is FDA saying, listen, don't do this. There were a couple other doctors cited saying what you're also doing by cooking it this way is essentially ingesting anywhere from a quarter to a half of a bottle at one time when you're eating that piece of chicken, because it becomes condensed. And as the water and alcohol cook off, it's all just medicine, right? It's all just the active ingredients. And that's very dangerous because in concentration, it can do terrible things. Now, I'm not sure how widespread this is because it's being called the NyQuil challenge. In searching it as much as I could, I see like what looked like 2 original videos of people cooking chicken in NyQuil. And then almost every other post is other people talking about it. Like, you know, you have people like do play-by-play of it and make fun of things or talk about how awful something looks or how amazing it looks, depending on what the thing is that they're commenting on. So they'll have the original video going on in the background with their little face, you know, up front, and they're talking about it. That's most of what I see. I don't see like hundreds of different versions of people actually making NyQuil chicken. It's like 2 versions that everybody else is now talking about. So the question is, and by the way, our friend Julie Smith mentioned to us on Twitter that, you know, this is definitely something that can be misused to get people fired up, to get headlines, when in reality, it's not actually a common trend. It's not like a lot of people are doing it. But I will say the fact that anyone's doing it prompts a warning, because some other idiot is going to try it because they saw it on TikTok.
Well, that's like a lot of challenges. And there are a couple of others that I think we should get into a little bit later on the show.
We'll touch on that in a bit. Coming up next, we'll talk a bit about the Fed hiking interest rates and what it means to you and me and everyone else. It's next on the show.
Talk saves lives. Join us for Odyssey's I'm Listening special, our annual 2-hour national mental health conversation. Hear from some of the biggest names in music and sports, insights from respected mental health professionals, and of course, your stories. Join us for a constructive and supportive conversation about our mental wellness right here and on the free Odyssey app. Visit imlistening.org. Remember, talk saves lives.
Hear the I'm Listening special, Thursday night at 8 on KMOX and KMOX.com.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com, 314-946-9999. We buy houses direct. If you're thinking about selling, you're not sure where you're going to go, you can sign a contract with us. We are the buyer, and we can provide a flexible closing date for you. Once we've written a contract, we can actually adjust the closing date if you need to move it up or you need to move it back. A lot of people aren't sure where they're going to move next, and we can make it easy on you. ClaymanGroup.com, 314-946-9999, 946, all nines.
More than 10 million Americans are at risk of losing their vision to devastating retinal diseases like retinitis pigmentosa, but your support can help find cures. Join the Foundation Fighting Blindness at the St. Louis Vision Walk on Saturday, October 1st at Creve Coeur Lake Park. For more information, call 314-852-7223 or visit give.fightingblindness.org/St. Louis Vision Walk. Together, we're winning with our KMOX Voice of Caring partner, Foundation Fighting Blindness.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Everyone, who's manning the front tonight?
Big E's nightclub needs a bouncer with a military background.
Dougie, I need you to keep eyes on the back.
Security who lays down the no-no when the uns get too intense.
That Swedish DJ duo is back tonight. Y'all remember last time.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At 11:30, it's partly cloudy and 89 degrees downtown at the Arch.
CBS News special report. New York's Attorney General Letitia James has just announced she's suing former President Trump, alleging business fraud over his real estate dealings.
We are filing a lawsuit against Donald Trump for violating the law as part of his efforts to generate profits for himself, his family, and his company.
Trump's 3 adult children were also named as defendants.
We are asking the court to, among other things, permanently bar Mr. Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump from serving as an officer or director in any corporation or similar entity registered and or licensed in New York.
The suit alleges the former president falsely stated the value of his holdings. Mr. Trump's attorney called the suit political. He is scheduled to speak to the press shortly. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
KMOX traffic, emergency vehicle 70 East at 270. The McKinley Bridge East is closed until 3 p.m. Stall 6440 West past Timberlake Manor Parkway on the right shoulder and 64 West at Spady on the right shoulder. And a weather forecast from Dean DeVore. Another hot day with a mostly sunny sky and a breeze with a high near the record of 97. Thunderstorm this evening, especially south and west of the city. Much cooler with a low 62. And tomorrow, sunny breaks with a breeze and a high of 70. Right now, it's partly cloudy at 89 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Brought to you by Live Nation. See Tom Jones at Stiefel Theater September 29th, livenation.com. Don't miss an evening with legendary singer Tom Jones at Stiefel Theater on September 29th. It's Tom Jones Live.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
Get tickets now at livenation.com.
Unusual.
Throw on your cowboy boots and get ready to dance. Join Paraquad on September 23rd at Ritz-Carlton Clayton for the Shine the Light Gala event. For more details, go to paraquad.org or contact Anna Corbett at 314-289-4214. Paraquad, we make independence accessible.
Driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
This is Corey from Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling, here to tell you about an organization that is near and dear to our company and one we've been proud to sponsor, Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Greater St. Louis Honor Flight flies World War II, Korea, and Vietnam War veterans to Washington, D.C. for free to see their memorials. Greater St. Louis Honor Flight is looking for you. If you know of a veteran, please sign them up for their honor flight, or if you'd like to lend your support, visit gslhonorflight.org. And for all things heating and cooling, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Ask yourself, what am I doing to guarantee I will have adequate inflation-hedged income that I may never outlive? Why not make sure your future income is growing and may last as long as you do? Call for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233. And also join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio.
The World Trade Center St. Louis is hosting its annual Growing Global Luncheon Friday, September 30th at the Ritz-Carlton in Clayton. With the successful launch of direct flights to Europe, Growing Global 2022 will explore international connectivity and the value and impact of connecting our community and businesses in a 21st century global economy. Registration and sponsorships are available at worldtradecenter-stl.com. Reserve your spot now and join us for Growing Global September 30th.
Albert Pujols comes to bat.
Cardinals slugger Albert Pujols talks with Tom Ackerman Mondays at 9:50.
He hits a fly ball left field, and it's gone!
Exclusively on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
$11:34 on the show. Chris Raunchy, Kevin Wheeler with you here, and it is time to talk money. Since we're talking money, I thought it would be probably sensible to talk to the host of the Dollars and Cents show that you hear on weekends on KMOX when there are no conflicts with Cardinals baseball games. And the host of Dollars and Cents show here on KMOX is Dave Simons. He's also the Senior Vice President of Wealth Management at UBS Financial Services. Dave, good to have you on, man. How you been?
I'm good, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. And more importantly, we appreciate the knowledge that you can pass along to us, because all of us are impacted by things like rate changes with the Federal Reserve, interest rate changes with inflation, and all that's been kind of building up here in recent months. It's good to get someone who knows the ins and outs to explain a bit of it. So let's talk about what we are looking at today and what we expect today and what we hope the impact will be of the expected rate increase.
All right. So in a couple of hours, Fed Chairman will get on there and talk. Jay Powell will I think announce that he will increase in short-term interest rates 0.75%. All right. So that gets a little wonkish. What does that exactly mean? Well, this would be 3 times in a row over the last 4 months that they've raised rates at least 0.75%, which is almost unprecedented. It's only happened one other time, and that was in the early 80s, so some 40 years ago. So you can expect to see mortgage rates, which now the average 30-year mortgage rate is back above 6%, that will likely go up even more. Borrowing costs, credit card debt costs, all that will continue to go up. Bottom line, the reason why the Fed feels that it needs to do this and be so aggressive and make things harder for the rest of us is, I'll just be honest, they're trying to kill the economy. And the reason why they're trying to do that is to rein in this 40-year high of inflation. And it's going to cause some pain, and it's going to cause a lot of economic discomfort, but they feel they have to do the dirty work to get inflation to come down.
Well, do they have to, or could they just let inflation just kind of take its course?
Yeah, it's a great question, Chris, because even Jay Powell himself says, we're going to cause some pain in the economy. Those are his words.
Right.
And you read between the lines, and basically what he's saying is, we're going to take this multi-trillion-dollar economy and we're going to crash it into the shoreline. So sorry about that. But inflation actually is this invisible, nebulous, dangerous beast that's out there. You can't really see it. It's like the wind. But if you don't really contain it, it causes a lot of damage over time. And it really does end up hurting workers. Their wages cannot keep up with runaway inflation. And for those of us who are old enough to remember, as I do in the late 70s and early 80s, it was a really, really tough time. It cost a president named Jimmy Carter his job over that. So it gets into politics as well.
How does this, or what we expect this to be, Dave, how does this compare to what we saw, say, 2007, 2008? I know the circumstances are different, but it was still a difficult time.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kevin. And I think a lot of people are fearful that we go back to a great recession like we had in 2008. I don't believe so. This is different. You had an infrastructure, the underpinnings of our economy that at that time were very, very weak. We don't have that right now. Banks are much better regulated. They have a lot more capital on hand as demanded by the regulators. So I think this economy can take an economic recession. It can take a contraction. But I would say for all of the investors who are listening right now, preach patience, because we are not going to see some new bull market being born. I think what we've seen so far this year, with the market being under pressure, we probably have a little bit more to go, well into 2023. So in answer to your question, this isn't going to be a 2008 repeat. That's the good news. The bad news is be patient, because we're not through this yet.
Okay, so the quick follow-up to the be patient, is that like, okay, just stop obsessing about your retirement account, stop obsessing? Because the last time I looked at my statement, I was like, damn, it's going in the wrong direction. So is that what you mean by patience? Just don't take, I don't want to say extreme, but maybe don't take aggressive action to try to avoid this, because eventually it'll get back. And how long do we think that whatever down period is coming could last?
Well, first of all, Kevin, what you said is exactly right. Patience really means put the blinders on, think about what your own long-term goals are. We inevitably will get through this. We always will. We will have gone through worse, like the aforementioned 2008. It will be nothing like that, and we will get through it. Now, the length of time totally depends on the Fed and the data that they get. Here's my fear, guys. I'll be really honest. My fear is they overshoot and they continue to raise rates aggressively and continue into 2023 while the economy is starting to slow, and they overdo it. And then we've got a much deeper recession. So I'm hoping that they don't look at all the data in such a backward looking way, that they have the foresight to say, you know what, we're going to pause here for a second and see how our interest rate hikes are filtering through the economy. They do that, and this bear market may end sooner rather than later, like early 2023. They don't. Hate to say it, 23 could be another tough year.
For the people like Kevin, who's 50, I'm 45, we're not talking about retirement anytime soon. And I know he asked that question, but what about somebody who is pretty close to retirement right now? What should they be doing?
Really look at their economic picture. And I know that sounds very trite, but they have to determine, what are my income needs? And what's the inflation projection that I put into that? If I need X amount of dollars today, what do I do next year? And do I have the size of a portfolio that's going to generate enough cash flow, dividends and interest, plus Social Security, plus whatever else income they have, to keep up with that? And the honest answer is, if the answer is no, they can't retire. It's going to be a tough decision for a lot of people during these inflationary days. You go back to the late 70s and early 80s, people were pushing off retirement. Mm-hmm. Those who got into their 60s who wanted to retire, all of a sudden were working to their late 60s. I know that sounds draconian. I don't think we're going to quite get to that level, but it's a great question, and it should cause a lot of people to sit down and look at their own individual needs here.
Dave Simons is with us, Senior Vice President of Wealth Management at UBS Financial Services, host of the Dollars and Cents Show here on KMOX as well. Okay, Dave, so I am not expert in these things, but I do listen to smart people, and I do, like yourself, and I do listen to people who know these things. And I've had a couple of friends and a couple of advisors actually mention that this also could be an opportune time for someone to buy, to jump in when things are down compared to what they be. First of all, I know that that's a very general kind of laying out of a question, but is there opportunity for those that are maybe positioned well to take advantage of this moving forward?
Man, I'm so glad you asked that, Kevin, because the answer is absolutely 100% yes. You need corrections to build wealth. I know that sounds a little strange, so let me explain. It's all about dollar cost averaging. So for those of us still working and we're adding money into a 401k, it's great when everything's going up and we love to look at our statements. But when they inevitably go down, you are adding money into cheaper prices. So you're building more wealth. The best thing, listen, I'm 60 years old. I don't really have a retirement date in mind. I love what I do. But let's say it's in 5 years. The best thing for me selfishly would be for the market not to go up at all. And as I continue to invest at prices now or even come down and then start to go up at 65, I'm golden. So they don't need to go up at all times. So for those of us still working, these present some great opportunities to even aggressively invest more, as long as you believe in the long-term sanctity of the financial markets that they go up over time, as I do.
Dave, I don't know how you feel or how most people feel, but I know that I am exhausted by politics influencing, or your political stances influencing everything. I don't mean you, I mean people in general. And when they talk about, it's Bidenflation, Biden's responsible for this, despite the fact the UK's got high inflation, Spain has it, Netherlands, Italy, all these countries have high inflation. And it was, the energy prices are high because of his disastrous energy policies. Well, energy prices are down, inflation's still high. What is really the root cause of all of this, and how does it get fixed? And those are really that should be a simple question to answer.
Yeah, Dave, fix
how
the
do you
world.
how do you fix the finances of the planet, Dave? Go.
You know what? I wish we were sitting at a bar and had a couple of hours. 'Cause I could tell you some stories.
So do I. Starting now.
Yeah, but you're right. And I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 30 years or so, and I have never seen a more politically charged environment. And I'm talking about on the financial side of things. I have more clients now who call and are so scared that this is going to happen because this is what they read on the internet. And I have to bring them back from the ledge, and I say, it's just simply not true. So-and-so president, and this really started under Obama, they're going to freeze my 401k. Did you know that? I'm like, no, they're not. This is not Venezuela. And I've heard every conspiracy in the book. So I'm telling you, my job has been as much counselor as anything else to say you're believing too many of these conspiracies. To the inflation picture, this is something that's almost 100% pandemic related. Now, you can get into the politics of that to say, well, some politicians wanted us to be shut down for a lot longer. Okay, maybe true. Some of these politicians pass these huge spending packages to put more money in our pockets. Okay, yeah, that's true. That is a legitimate discussion to have. But overall, if you get to the real core of it, inflation was going to happen regardless who the president was. That's just a fact. Because of the pandemic, maybe it wouldn't be as large if we had more fiscally responsible people, and that's about as political as I'll get here. but that I think that there is some truth to that. But we give too much blame to certain parties when things happen, and too much credit instead of just saying this is that kind of the spirit hands of the financial markets that are hard to pin down and quantify. They just happen. Politics be damned.
Dave, really appreciate the knowledge. Thank you so much. We'll definitely look forward to doing this again when everything starts to get better, and then you can tell us how to handle that as well. How's that sound?
Absolutely. I love it. Thanks, guys, for the opportunity.
And we may not have to wait that long. It might be sooner than that, but we always appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I hope so. All right. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Chris.
You got it. Dave Simons is the Senior VP of Wealth Management at UBS Financial Services. He is also the host of the Dollars and Cents Show, which airs Sundays at 3 o'clock on KMOX when there's no Cardinals baseball. So obviously if there's a night game or once the off season comes around, so you'll be able to get your regular fix. Dave is super smart guy, obviously been in the business for a long time and of course been hosting the show here on KMOX for a long time as well. All right. We do have an anniversary we want to celebrate. Today is the anniversary of an event that is now a weekly event that prior to this, nothing in sports really happened weekly, but there's an interesting one. And by the way, Ron, some great music for you. Great music for you coming up.
As you see it,
No, you'll like it.
Okay.
It's great in a funny, odd way.
It's that rapping lady from Utah?
No, but close.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at ThrottleNet. These are the genius IT guys that I've been representing for years and years now. We are number one all the time. Best in customer service from Small Business Monthly. Best in cybersecurity, again, Small Business Monthly. We have an average response time. I love this statistic. The average response time in St. Louis in 2020 by IT companies. You have a problem, you reach out to them, hey, I'm all shut down, help me, was 3 hours. If you got back within 3 hours, you were cool. Ours was 1 minute, 57 seconds, and the guys were very unhappy with that. It takes less than 2 minutes for us to address your problems. Here's a huge thing. We are now offering $500,000 in ransom protection to everyone who uses us. This is part of the deal. You don't pay extra for it. So if you happen to be hit and you have to pay, we're going to pay it up to $500,000. Now, this shows you how confident we are because no one under our protection has ever had to pay. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS.
You may have heard about rising interest rates everywhere else, but at Diamonds Direct, we're helping you start your forever with zero interest rates. Get the unbeatable price Diamonds Direct is known for and enjoy zero interest financing for 5 years on any purchase. At Diamonds Direct, we believe now more than ever you need to make your money go farther, and we're making it happen with this extraordinary limited time offer. Get that $15,000 designer ring for just over $250 a month. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion. Get details and more now at diamondsdirect.com. Approved credit.
Transform your home into the most beautiful home in your neighborhood with Banner Construction, St. Louis's premier James Hardy and Pella window expert. Add curb appeal and value to your home by calling Banner Construction 314-569-1050.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Do you want to walk and stay healthy, but cannot because you are in pain?
I just had difficulty walking. I could not walk in bare feet at all.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts from the drugstore with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet system fits in all your shoes, so come to the Good Feet store and become pain-free today.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Caddy Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store.
I'm here for Pioneer Brand Seeds, a block away from another ag company's corporate office. This company concentrates their breeders here in one centralized location. That's not how Pioneer works. Our breeders are located where their test plots are. That way, Pioneer corn breeders gain insights about what does and doesn't work for a local geography in real time. Ask your local Pioneer sales representative about field-proven Pioneer brand corn hybrids. And like our breeders, they're located near you.
Right now is the perfect time to call Zero Res to deep clean and refresh your carpets, air ducts, upholstery, and more. Call 314-474-2020 to get 3-room Zero Res clean starting at just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. ZeroResSTL.com.
Join the Foundation Fighting Blindness at the St. Louis Vision Walk on Saturday, October 1st at Creve Coeur Lake Park to help find cures to diseases that cause blindness. Visit visionwalk.org.
Pumpkin Donuts served daily at Old Town Donuts in Florissant and Cottleville till Thanksgiving. The award-winning Old Town Donuts are now served and sold for under $10 a dozen with a coupon you can get at oldtowndonuts.com. oldtowndonuts.com.
Hi, I'm Mandy Moore. Stand Up to Cancer is closer than ever before to achieving its mission to make every cancer patient into a long-term survivor. To learn more and get Advantage Miles, go to standuptocancer.org/American Heroes.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. Amy, Chris, and Kevin.
The greatest radio talk show host ever.
Now, more of the show.
Raji!
Wow.
Oh, Oh, now it's kicking in. On this date, can you tell it was in 1970?
Oh, God. Sounds like there's a couch involved in this scene. This is amazing.
On this day in 1970, Monday Night Football aired for the very first time ever. This was the opening, the song. This was the show's theme song.
Jack that up. I want to hear this. This is wonderful. God, I love the 70s.
I feel like the Brady family should be like dancing in the background. The Bradys be like,
well, I mean, it sounds like.
No, it doesn't sound like
yes,
that.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. It sounds like, I didn't order a pizza. Oh. Sorry.
So this is what Monday Night Football sounded like in 1970 when it first aired. Keith Jackson, Howard Cosell, and Don Meredith were the broadcast team. And boy, were the 70s odd.
Right? They seemed like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Not so much.
Well, the 60s seemed fun.
Except for the whole Vietnam War and counterculture protest.
Well, but if you weren't over there,
civil rights movement. And,
people were just out there having a good time otherwise, though. They were
people being shot and killed. I mean, it was pretty turmoil.
It was really fun for certain people and very certain people only.
Right. Okay,
and then everybody else, it kind of sucked.
So basically, like ever, like it always has been.
Yeah.
Some people,
like
it's
now.
always nice.
Just kind of like now. Yeah. So,
much.
But you know, everything was kind of a free spirit back in the 60s and the 70s. You have that kind of music.
Yeah. So this was, though, the first time that anything sports related entered prime time and became primetime television viewing, became a show, right?
Yeah.
And you hear the music, that's a show.
Yes.
You hear Keith Jackson and Howard Cosell, Don Meredith. I don't know how much you remember Don Meredith, but
not a lot.
Oh, like a personality, like big personality.
The name I know, but I didn't, I
Yeah.
don't remember him well.
But they made it a show. And that, honest to God, the debut, not that one game, but Monday Night Football is what propelled sports to major primetime entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why it is right now. I mean, sports today are the most valuable commodities on television.
When these social justice things were happening in the NFL and the people who were opposed to those things were crying about the NFL getting too political and I'm going to stop watching and the NFL's going to die. During that period, when anytime like an NFL rating would decline by a percentage point or a couple of percentage points, people would see that as the validation of that stance. That, see, told you, the NFL's ruining itself. Well, guess what? Even with that, the NFL was something like, and you can correct me on the numbers here, but it was something like 70% of the top 100 programs of the year, top 100 rated programs, most watched programs of any given year, about 70% are NFL games.
It was something like 45 out of the top 50.
That's what it was. Yeah,
and that's
it's
pretty much,
a crazy number.
And that's pretty much every year.
Every single year.
That's not like a fluke. I mean, every year, if you look at the highest rated shows on broadcast, again, this is on broadcast. We know the audience isn't what it used to be. But that's why football, basketball, baseball, hockey, it's why they're so valuable because these are it's one of the only things programming wise that people have to see in real time. And there are other things, like as an example, my wife and daughter both watch Big Brother. They don't want to watch it recorded. They want to watch it in real time because they want to avoid spoilers.
Oh, I get that.
And that's true for sports, too. You don't want to watch a game generally that you know the outcome of.
There are certain shows I feel that way, like Game of Thrones. I was for a minute because people were talking and I didn't want it to get spoiled, so I tried to watch it live. Yeah. And there are no commercials on HBO, so you don't have to worry about that. But sports, when people watch it, 99% of people are watching as it happens.
Yeah, and that's why they're valuable.
Yes,
because they know that even though the audience is not what it used to be, the audience relative to the general TV audience is still bigger than it's ever been.
Oh, yeah.
They have a bigger share of the people that do watch broadcast television than they did in not in the 70s and 80s because there were only 4 channels. Actually 3 really, because back in the 70s, the Fox TV network didn't
wasn't
exist.
a thing.
It was just ABC, NBC, CBS. That's all you had.
Well, Fox was,
and then your UHF channels.
Yeah, well, Fox was like borderline UHF because I do remember it being a thing, and I remember in the 90s, David Letterman making fun of Fox.
Right.
You know, like
But that was
saying,
not 1970.
No. But even in the 90s, Fox was not anything. It wasn't until they started to put money into it that it blew up.
Fascinating. Well, anyway, Happy birthday, Monday Night Football.
Tom Ackerman for Building Community with Busey Bank, a podcast series easily accessible at KMOX.com/community banking. This summer, the Little Bit Foundation lost their huge warehouse and headquarters in the flood. It's both a heartbreaking and inspirational story, with Busey and the community helping. Listen to our September podcast, Building Community with Busey Bank, at KMOX.com/community banking.
Suburban Leisure Center has Adirondack chairs in stock and on sale now. Our amazing Adirondack chairs come in 16 colors and in lots of styles. Gliders, rockers, tables, and chairs. We even make an Adirondack chair with a pull-out ottoman. Also, many can be made to order. Hurry into Suburban Leisure Center now on Olive, 1 mile west of 141, or check us out at suburbanleisurecenter.com, home of the Big Red Chair.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
KMOX, KEZK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Yes, with inflation, interest rate increases, and a possible recession looming, we are no doubt facing uncertain times in the housing market. But as a realtor with over 20 years of experience, I can tell you, if you're thinking of selling your home, now more than ever, you need a realtor to help you through these times while saving you money. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty, and we offer all of this for only 4%. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Hey, Matzo Matt here for Brewpub Lots of Matzo Pizza. You know, there are very few things in life worth waiting for. Pizza's done.
Oh, I'm on it. I'm starving. I've been waiting.
I wouldn't do that. It's going to be really...
It's so hot. It's burning my mouth.
A Brewpub Lots of Matzo Pizza it's the epitome of delayed gratification. So when your Brewpub Pizza is done and the temptation to dive right in due to the deliciousness of every bite overwhelms you, step back, give it time, and know it's worth the wait. Brewpub Lots of Matzo Pizza is available in your local grocery store.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news, KMOX.
At 12 noon, it's 90 degrees, partly cloudy sky downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Our top story this hour.
CBS News special report.
No one is above the law.
New York State Attorney General Letitia James is taking legal action against former President Trump and his 3 eldest children for alleged fraud.
We are filing a lawsuit against Donald Trump for violating the law as part of his efforts to generate profits for himself, his family, and his company.
The suit accuses the Trumps of overvaluing assets by billions of dollars.
The complaint demonstrates that Donald Trump falsely inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself and to cheat the system, thereby cheating all of us.
James' goal, to bar the Trumps from running a business ever again in New York State. The Trump attorney calls the lawsuit a political act, neither focused on the facts nor on the law. CBS News special report. I'm Deborah Rodriguez.
A frantic scene at Barnes Hospital on Kings Highway as a shooting victim arrives.
This is Kevin Killeen at Barnes Hospital, the victim of a drive-by shooting taken to the trauma center here a little after 11 at a black Volvo. The driver got out and ran off, witnesses say, and witnesses say the victim was visibly bleeding heavily. Police were seen putting yellow tape around the car and examining a pistol and a long gun that they had taken out of this car at Barnes Hospital emergency room.
St. Louis County Executive Sam Page announces new police precincts are coming to North and South County.
In South County, police had to abandon their precinct.
But it was in such bad shape with water leaks and mold that the county could no longer safely use the building. The precinct was relocated to a leased space, but the facility is too small.
The new South County precinct will be 3 times the size. Construction begins October 3rd. The new North County precinct will be twice the size of the current one and will be on Dunn Road near Christian Hospital. The $27.6 million comes from Prop P money. Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
President Biden began his 30-minute address to the UN General Assembly by focusing on Russia's war in Ukraine.
The president cast the invasion of Ukraine as an affront against the UN itself.
Russia has shamelessly violated the core tenets of the United Nations Charter.
He said Russia's aim is to extinguish Ukraine's right to exist as a state and as a people.
That should make your blood run cold.
Mr. Biden's speech came hours after the Russian president, in a national address from Moscow, announced a mobilization of reservists and said he isn't bluffing when it comes to his country's nuclear capabilities. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, Washington.
The First Mid-Bank and Trust Business Desk, CBS's Jim Krasula reports on new concerns about electric vehicle production.
Surging prices for lithium are intensifying a race between automakers to lock up supplies and raising concerns that a shortage of the battery metal could affect the growing interest in electric vehicles. Lithium prices, now about $71,000 a metric ton, are 4 times higher than a year ago.
And power outages caused by a heat wave in central China have slowed output of refined lithium carbonate used in electric vehicle batteries. The Dow from Stifel is up 105 points to 30,811. And we've got debris on 270 South before Doherty Ferry. It's got the center lanes closed. There's some construction on 94 North between Prawley Lane and Zumbo. We've also got a stall 270 East before 367.
Breezy and hot with mostly sunny skies. We get up near the record of 97 before some showers and thunderstorms cool us off this evening, especially south and west of the city for the biggest thunderstorms. And then much cooler tomorrow, near 70 during the day after an early shower, some sunny breaks, staying in the 60s with a shower too Friday. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by St. Louis City SC, the new MLS club is hiring stadium employees for the historic inaugural season. To work for St. Louis's professional soccer team, visit bit.ly/apply@city, bit.ly/apply@city. Partly cloudy sky, 89 Florissant, 90 St. Peters, 90 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
$12:05 on the show. Chris Ranji, Kevin Wheeler here. Amy Markscores will be back from vacation tomorrow. Time for us to recap some of the top stories of the day. I thought great information, Ron, just a little bit ago with Dave Simons talking about what we're looking at with the rate hikes coming today. He's expecting, the most analysts are expecting 3/4 of a point.
1 o'clock is the time, right?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, it would be 1 o'clock. I think it's
so.
2 o'clock Eastern. Mm-hmm. So we should know in less than an hour.
But it's going to be something most likely.
Yep.
And my biggest takeaway from what Dave told us was that it's not going to be as bad as 2008, which I think is a good thing. I mean, any downturn is bad for people, right?
Right.
And as you pointed out, especially if you're like right on the verge of retirement, you know, if you're planning on retiring in 2023 or at the end of 2022, this timing sucks for you really badly. And it's bad for everybody. I mean, I've looked at my account and went, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Not good. But I'm going to follow the advice that he had, which is don't check it all the time. It's going to come back. It's just a matter of when. But, 2007, 2008 were bad for me. We got smoked with real estate primarily because it was around that time that I took the job here at KMOX. And it took us 19 months to sell our house. And that entire time, I was driving back and forth from Chicago to St. Louis every weekend. all of that stuff was a major tax, and we ended up having to pay to sell our house. We actually
lost money.
A lot.
Yeah,
like a lot.
Yep.
Just to get rid of it.
Yep.
We had to take a loss, and it was a big loss. So I look back at 07 and 08, and I hate those years. I look at it like I got kicked in the groin big time during all of that. I was happy to hear him say that this isn't going to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be something, and he's not the first person I've heard. In fact, on Total Information AM yesterday or the day before, they were talking to a financial person who said that probably in 2023 is when we're looking at some kind of recession happening. So if it's like 08, bad. If it's not like 08, not as bad, but still kind of bad.
Yeah.
I would recommend when the show is over, we have our podcast posted on the Odyssey app. Get the free Odyssey app, AUDACY. It's really good, and you can listen to all the shows. You can listen live, or on KMOX.com. You can listen. I would highly recommend going back after the fact if you want to hear what Dave had to say about that very thing we're talking about now. We had him on at 11:30, so he can give you an idea, and you can listen directly to him, what he has to say about the interest rate hike and what kind of recession, downturn, whatever you want to call it, we're looking to in a few months or at some point next year.
We also got a bit into the Cardinals. We'll talk more about them with John Rooney at 12:30 during our Redbird Report. We talked about the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, recommending essentially alcohol detectors for every car moving forward in the future. Not based on any conviction, not based on anything, just they're going to be standard parts of all cars moving. That's what they're suggesting. They don't have the power to legislate that.
Right.
They're trying to get those that do have that power, though, to take that on. That'd be a pretty big ask. That's a lot of cars, like 280 million cars. I guess the one thing you could do is, grandfather, right? So you put it on all new cars, and then, as the others cycle out, they don't have it. But, I mean, then let's just put it this way. If you're a person that engages in risky behavior, you'll just get an old car.
Well, as they said in the story, which, again, you can read on KMOX.com, that it will take many, many years. If they were to implement this, it would be a very long time before it actually happens, before you start to see it in every single car.
Yeah, and I'm not like against the idea. I think that it's important to do things like, protect people from themselves sometimes. I mean, that's why we have seatbelt laws. Seatbelt law doesn't help anybody else. It only protects you from yourself, right? And that's what it's for, because people that don't wear them tend to have more severe injuries and die more often when they get into car accidents. People that wear them that die less often, have less serious injuries.
Which does affect the rest of us indirectly, because it has an effect on insurance as a whole. Like over, how many people end up dying from it or have severe injuries. The fewer injuries, the fewer deaths you have, that's less of a strain on the insurance.
Sure.
So, and that's
it's
across
just not
the board.
something you see, right?
Right.
I mean, as a person,
right.
How much of your premium it would be increased by? I mean, I don't think any of us know, but yeah, that's true. That's the act. But the primary thing, though, is it protects you from yourself.
And you did make a good point that I don't think we talked about on the air. And it was, okay, if you do this with alcohol, what about speeding? Why not just have a limiter? Why not? Because
this is why it's where I hate slippery slope arguments, but. And I'm not really saying that this is that, but to me, it's okay. So
it's a good question.
If we can do that thing, then why wouldn't we just say no car can go more than 70 miles an hour?
So what's interesting is I don't have a brand new car. My car is like 6 years old, I think. And I have driven a car before. I had a car for a weekend. It was an Audi, really nice car. And and I didn't know this was a thing, but they had a limiter on the cruise control, which you could turn off. You could go into the settings and turn it off.
But you had to do it. Yeah.
If you set you're on the highway and you set your speed limit to 78 or 75, but the speed limit's 70, it will stop. It will slow the car down to get under the speed limit wherever you are. So that still does exist, which, again, you can turn it off if you want to.
Right.
But I'm sure a lot of cars have that then. Like probably the upper scale cars, the higher end cars have a limiter that I didn't even know existed. And I was like, why is this car slowing down?
Yeah. And I don't want in any way, shape, or form. I don't want that limiter on my car.
No, it's irritating.
There are times that I want to go faster than that.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm going to get tickets from time to time, although not very often, thankfully. And I'm not a maniac. I'm not doing 100.
I'm not 20 miles over the limit.
No,
I'm like 8,
but
7.
in some states, for example, and this is part of the problem, though, is speed limits are different from state to state, from area to area.
Right.
So if you put it at 70, well, in some parts of Michigan, it's 75 miles an hour. Some parts of the country, the highways are 75. Well, I can't go the speed limit. A lot of different layers to that, but also it's similar idea, right? We're going to stop you from breaking the law in advance of you breaking the law. I'm not in any way advocating for it, just saying that that's essentially what it would be.
Yeah.
We're going to make it so you can't break the law, which is what we're talking about with the recommendation for the alcohol detectors.
Right. So
Same
I don't know.
idea.
I don't know.
By the way, the whole idea is saving lives, right? And we know that alcohol is what the alcohol-related deaths on the highway were 30% of all deaths.
30% of all traffic accidents or traffic deaths in 2020, which are the latest numbers we have, were as a result of alcohol, and that was a 14% increase from 2019.
But a large percentage of the others is probably from speed.
Right. Not paying
Excessive
attention,
speed.
being on your phone.
Yeah, but I mean, but my point is, though, that clearly alcohol-related deaths on the roadway are a serious issue with major numbers, and it's the same thing for people with excessive speed. I mean, that's definitely a leading cause for accidents. And by the way, more severe accidents the faster you're going.
Also, we mentioned the breaking news: the New York Attorney General announcing the was it charges?
No, it's a lawsuit.
Just a lawsuit they have filed against Donald Trump because of his business dealings in New York, and they want to prevent him from being able to conduct business in New York because of millions of dollars in fraud. And what we were talking about in relation to it is something has to stick at some point if this is going to, if there are going to be constant charges levied against him. And I'm not doubting they're true. Look, we've known who he is for 40 something years. He's been famous for a very long time before he was president. It does not surprise me to hear that he would engage in behavior like that. I'm not stunned by it. So at some point, if they are going to continue to go after him, I agree that you need something of substance to happen. Otherwise, it is going to irritate people. And they're already irritated, and they're already going to keep saying that it's a witch hunt. They're going after him just because they want to and they don't like him. But I think at some point here, something of substance has to happen. I am a person who believes, and I would hope most people believe this, unless you are a white-collar criminal for yourself, I would think you want those people to be punished. And whether it's him, whether it's Hunter Biden, whatever he did, whether it's whoever else, any person who has a position of power, authority, money, whatever, should not be able to continually get away with committing crimes or whatever you perceive them to be, infractions, because it happens a lot and it happens too much. You mentioned the 2008 crisis. A lot of that was brought on by the housing
people
market.
Inflate. Yep.
Yes,
and people essentially making it too easy for those to get loans.
The credit
that
default
afford
swaps,
right.
And just these garbage bonds that they were selling to people,
betting on the failure of all of these mortgages,
of the economy, and those people didn't go to jail for it.
No,
those people should have gone to jail for it because people lose their lives, people die as a result of it, and all of those people skated.
Yeah.
And we have to get to a place where that's not happening. And I know it's difficult to do because when you have money and influence, you can get away with almost anything.
Yep, not good. We don't have time for it now. We'll get to this a little bit later, but I just wanted to mention it. We also had an address by Vladimir Putin today where, well, let's just say he kept going towards the dark side. This one was even, I think, a little bit more intense than some of the things he said at the beginning of their military operations in Ukraine, saying that, quote, "Those who try to blackmail us with nuclear weapons should know that the prevailing winds can turn in their direction." I mean, so again, that's not so veiled. I don't know if we could call it a threat, but it's certainly an attempt to intimidate We'll get more into that.
He's trying to escalate.
Yeah, we'll get more into that. Well, it's because it's not going all that well.
I mean, I knew this would happen. All this is going to end up doing is killing a lot of people for no reason.
Yes. Well,
that's what will happen.
That's what it's already done. That's what it'll continue to do. And we'll get follow up more on that a little bit later on tonight, later on tonight. We won't be here. A little bit later on in the show. Coming up at 12:30, we'll have our Redbird Report with John Rooney. Up next, interesting science fact for you here on the show.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to KMOX for all the news, sports, talk, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
It has been a bumpy ride for businesses. We talk about the pandemic. We know now there's inflation, and a lot of people could really use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. So this isn't a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. Now, the hard part, right, is how to get it. That's where Innovation Refunds can help you. They will help you cut through the red tape and get your business the refund money. Here's what you need to do. Go to getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys that they have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program and have already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and then answer a few questions. GetRefunds.com.
Trish Gazelle for Ophthalmology Associates. For the best eye doctors, you need to see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Online at youridoc.com or 314-966-5000.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Brown. The physicians at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
Gas Appliance Service and the Fireplace and Grill Center have a huge selection of gas logs in stock to make your home warm and inviting. Don't get caught in the cold. Shop now for great prices, selection, and schedule your expert installation before long lead times of the holiday rush. See the beautiful burning displays at Gas Appliance Service near Westport or the Fireplace and Grill Center, a quarter mile east of 141 on the south side of Manchester Road. Hurry while supplies last. Gas Appliance Service and the Fireplace and Grill Center.
Do your homework. Check us out on the Better Business Bureau and Angie's List. Hi, I'm Chuck Easter with Easter Fence Deck and Renovations. We can stand the scrutiny and encourage it. Don't just look at the ratings, but read the reviews. You'll find that we are who we say we are. A company that is focused on doing what's right every time. We never cheat, and we never cut corners. With Easter, your fence, deck, sunroom, or awning project will be completed with unmatched craftsmanship and at a fair price. Call 314-892-8500 or easterfence.com.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
The voice of St. Louis. News that matters to you. KMOX.
All right, we got our Redbird Report with John Rooney coming up in just a couple of minutes. Talk about the Cards and the Padres. Another rough night for the hitters last night. They'll get another chance at it again this evening. All right, Ranj, question for you. Science question for you.
I love questions.
You like science questions?
I have answers.
Do you like ants?
No.
No?
I understand their use.
Yeah.
I have no use for them.
No, I agree. I don't like them in my house, but they're fine anywhere else. So scientists have figured out how many ants they think are living on planet Earth at this point in time. So I want you to guess, because you have not seen this story, and I have. So I know the answer to this. I'm just curious to see what ballpark you can get into.
Okay, so they have estimated the number of
ants on planet Earth
currently living on the planet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
how
many ants do you think there are on planet Earth?
It's got to be like 10 trillion or something.
Is that your official answer?
All right, fine. 10 trillion.
20 quadrillion.
Okay.
That is 20,000 trillions.
So
20,000 trillions.
So I underestimated.
A little bit.
You know what?
That's a lot of bugs, dude.
Good. I get it now. I know what I did. I didn't count the ones in the ocean. So now I get it. How many quadrillion? 20?
20 quadrillion. Again, that is 20,000 trillions.
Yeah, I know them. They're all in my house.
All those ants.
Every one of them. No, I don't really have ants.
No, I don't either. Not in my house. I mean, I see them, but I don't have them. We don't have a problem with them, thankfully. When we were kids, we had carpenter ants in our house. The big black ones that are not they don't bite. They're not bitey. As long as a bug's not bitey, I don't care about it. And just get out of here.
Or
stingy. I don't like the stingy ones
either.
The
stingy ones are bad.
Yeah.
The fire ants. That's what those are.
Do not like those. But I've never been bitten by them. They bite. They don't sting, right?
Okay. I don't know.
Whatever. But 20 quadrillion. So just to give you an idea, how much do you? I'm not even going to make you guess. I'm just going to tell you. Okay. Apparently, they have a total body mass of a biomass of all the ants. If you put them in a pile,
okay,
12 megatons of ants on the planet. 12 megatons.
That's awesome.
Of ants on the planet.
See, I love this kind of stuff.
I do too.
I love that somebody went through and figured out
how did they
what
find
they
them
believe.
all?
What do you mean?
They counted them.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you have to go to. You're right. You have to go to every single location where you find them,
and you got to count them one by one.
Yeah, I think it's a good use of scientific manpower.
No, this is just done by math. This is not obviously. They didn't hunt them all down.
Oh, I see.
That is. I mean, nature things are always stunning to me because some of them end up being something you think is complex winds up being way more simple than it is. You know that there are a lot of ants on the planet, but I mean, that number is just beyond comprehension. And yet, it doesn't take up that much space.
That is a really interesting thing to think about.
If you thought about it, 20,000 trillions of ants, 20 quadrillion ants, and they're not just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just see them covering your street. And if you see 5 in your house, you're like, get out of here, bug.
What do they do?
Ants?
What does an ant do for? What does an ant do for the planet?
Well, I mean,
they carry stuff.
Well, but that's the stuff they eat.
Oh,
yeah, or the stuff they use to build.
They are pretty amazing.
I mean, they're brilliant. Yeah,
and how they just all work together.
Yeah,
we should take our cues from the ants. As a people,
well,
we should all work together better than we do.
We should all excrete chemicals that make each other follow along and do the same thing.
Whatever it takes.
I
mean, we got to work together.
Cooperation. Well, they do fight sometimes, but they seem to tend to fight. Well, that's the.
You're never going to avoid that.
No, that's true.
But we have too much. We keep talking about how divisive the country is, how divided we are, and things are divisive. Divided. They're all together.
Yeah,
they work together on things.
Common goals.
We should take a lesson from them.
Let me ask you a question. Worst ant that I can think of is the bullet ant. You've seen them, right? Those giant ones. They look like a bullet. That's how big they are.
Okay.
And they have the most painful bite, I believe, of all of the ants. How much would you need to be paid to take a bite from a bullet ant?
Well, I've never seen a
And
bullet.
actually, the reason it's called a bullet, I think because they say it hurts
It
like being
hurts that
shot.
bad?
Like you're being shot.
How much would it take me? I'll do it for $100.
Okay, I'm shocked that you would do that.
It was just
Because
a
you're
little bit.
squeamish about everything.
No, like gross stuff. That's not gross.
Oh, so you don't think bugs are gross? I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way, because I would do it.
I think certain bugs are gross. I think cockroaches are disgusting.
Yeah. Why are they different than ants?
Well, because they crawl in pipes and on gross stuff, and then they come into your house
Ants
and
do
bring the
that
gross
too?
stuff. Nah, they're in trees. Ants are in trees and they bury themselves in the dirt. That's fine. I can deal with that.
You're nuts. All right, we got our Redbird Report with John Rooney next here on the show.
There aren't many things I'm good at, but I was born with a talent for start. It's like the difference between poking someone with your finger a little bit and punching them as hard as you can. And that is what it feels like in the world where everyone is just rearing back and throwing haymakers so that 18 people will like their tweet. And there's a possibility it goes viral because I was so mean or I was so this or so that. And personally, it just kind of like, ugh.
A little snark and a whole lot more. The Dave Glover Show, weekdays at 2 on KMOX.
Nationally recognized, locally invested, Busey Bank is pleased to be named one of America's best banks for 2022 by Forbes. A prestigious and humbling honor, Busey is proud to deliver best-in-class service to our valued customers and vibrant communities. Whatever your financial needs, partner with an award-winning team for solutions to your business, wealth, and personal banking needs. Building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
Baseball is everywhere with the MLB app. Get exclusive updates from around the league on your mobile devices. From game day pitch-by-pitch features to select live broadcast coverage, the MLB app is your ticket to all things baseball all the time. Get live notifications sent to your phone, watch, and car so you're always up to date on the biggest breaking news, scores, and standings. The MLB app is your hub for live baseball everywhere you go. Download the MLB app today on the Apple App Store or Google Play. Additional subscriptions may be required.
Why are some people afraid to enjoy their retirement? And why are some people so worried about spending money during their golden years? Maybe it's because they're afraid of running out of money. Maybe they're afraid of depleting their nest egg, either through spending too much or through investment strategies that could result in losses. Hi, my name is Ken Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. Do you have a fear of depleting your savings and running out of money too soon? Let me help put your mind at ease. I can help you create an optimal retirement income distribution strategy that helps to maximize income from your retirement savings and eliminate your fear of running out of money. Call 314-328-4400 today and schedule your complimentary retirement roadmap review with our team. That's 314-328-4400. Again, 314-328-4400.
Heisey Advisory Group provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
At 12:30, it's partly cloudy and 91 degrees downtown at the Arch, alleging a widespread effort to manipulate property valuations by former President Donald Trump, 3 of his children, and their namesake company. New York Attorney General Letitia James announced today her office is suing them, seeking $250 million and an end to their operations in the state. The U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to raise its key short-term rate by a substantial 0.75 of a point for the third consecutive time. Many Fed watchers will be paying a special attention to Chairman Jerome Powell's remarks at a news conference afterward. Russia's Vladimir Putin has ordered a partial mobilization of reservists in Russia, effective immediately. It's the first mobilization in Russia since World War II. The Russian leader also warned the West he isn't bluffing over using everything at his disposal to protect Russian territory in what appeared to be a veiled reference to his nuclear arsenal. And right now we've got an accident on 30 West at Old Gravois involving a police car. We've got a stall 6440 East past 6th Street, left lane closed, 270 East before 367. The 2 right lanes are closed. And the forecast for the rest of today, another hot day with mostly sunny sky and a breeze and a high near the record of 97 that was set in 1881. A thunderstorm around this evening, especially south and west of the city, otherwise mainly cloudy and cooler with a low of 62. Dramatically cooler tomorrow tomorrow. Clouds and a shower early, then sunny breaks in the afternoon with a breeze and a high of 70. Right now it's 91 degrees downtown at the Arch, and it feels like 96. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Brought to you by Live Nation. See Tom Jones at Stiefel Theater September 29th, livenation.com. Don't miss an evening with legendary singer Tom Jones at Stiefel Theater on September 29th. It's Tom Jones Live.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
Get tickets now at livenation.com.
It's not unusual.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
The World Trade Center St. Louis is hosting its annual Growing Global Luncheon Friday, September 30th at the Ritz-Carlton in Clayton. With the successful launch of direct flights to Europe, Growing Global 2022 will explore international connectivity and the value and impact of connecting our community and businesses in a 21st century global economy. Registration and sponsorships are available at worldtradecenter-stl.com. Reserve your spot now and join us for Growing Global September 30th.
Here's one thing you can do to beautify your property and help prevent stormwater pollution. Create a rain garden. Rain gardens help reduce polluted stormwater from entering waterways, which can hurt both water quality and the wildlife that inhabit them and prevent water overflows. Excessive runoff can erode banks and increase flooding. Visit msdprojectclear.org to find out more about rain gardens and your flood risk. Know your zone. This One Thing message brought to you by MSD Project Clear. What's your one thing?
Goodwill and St. Louis Union Station have teamed up to take you under the sea and over St. Louis. When you donate a car, running or not, you can receive 4 tickets to the St. Louis Union Station's Aquarium and Wheel. Donating a car to Goodwill is quick and easy, and towing is free. Plus, you'll get a good feeling from donating to a charity that does so much in our community. For more information, visit mersgoodwill.org.
April 9th, 2001.
Swing and a home run to left. The first major league home run for Albert Pujols.
Now,
a swing and a long drive. Left field. Albert Pujols just tied the game with home run 698.
the pursuit for 700 continues.
Light up the night.
KMOX is Cardinals Radio. Now, the John Rooney Conversation on KMOX, sponsored by Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and if you're a Missourian, we're for you.
12:34 on the show. Chris Ranji, Kevin Wheeler here. Amy Markscore is on vacation. She is back tomorrow. Time now for our Redbird Report and, of course, our weekly visit with our good friend John Rooney. John, how's everything going in San Diego today?
Oh, it's just lovely, about 68, 69 degrees, and getting ready to go to the ballpark here in a few hours and see if the Cardinals can bring the bats with them tonight.
Well, it's been interesting. I was getting ready to say, I wish I had some hits that I could ship out to you guys. It's been a little rough for a week or two.
Yeah, I wish you did. It has been. And they found enough where they could win 11 games so far in September, but the last 30-plus innings, only one RBI. When Yachty hit a home run in Game 1, that's not the Cardinal offense we've seen for much of the year, but they have not been striking out that much. That's a small consolation, but they're putting the ball in play, but we've seen way too many pop-ups and fly ball outs.
At what point for you does it go from eyebrow raising to full-out alarm?
Oh, it goes to full-out alarm if you get into a losing streak here. Now, they've lost back-to-back games, and I believe it's the third time they've lost back-to-back games since the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
So no time to be alarmed at this point, especially when you have a middle of the lineup that contains Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Albert Pujols somewhere in there, fifth or sixth in the lineup. It shouldn't go all that long. And like Ricky and I were talking last night, hitting is contagious, but so is lack of hitting. I remember years with the White Sox, you go back to 2 years where they had Frank Thomas and Albert Bell right there in the middle of the lineup. But when they didn't hit, that team didn't score, and they went into a prolonged losing streak. So they didn't make the playoffs with those guys. So it can happen, but I just think there's too much in the lineup when you consider Tommy Edman and Brendan Donovan and guys who can get on base. I'm not close to being alarmed yet. No,
and we were talking earlier, John. The nice thing about it is with an 8.5 game lead, you don't have to sweat it at the moment, right? I mean, like if this was a tight race, this would be really stressful. This would be, okay, we got to fix this tomorrow. All that we really have to be concerned about now is whether or not this is still the case in 2 weeks when you start the first round of the playoffs.
And as Oliver Marmol said, he's not worried about the approach. It's just the results. And the approach is there. As I said, they haven't been striking out, but I think they have been gripping the bat a little bit tight since the beginning of September when they didn't hit and score as freely as they did to win 22 games in August. And they played at the peak, but I still think they can play to that level again. And if you look at the overall offensive numbers, that should tell you that in the long haul, they can break out. You don't want to go cold this time of year, no question about that. Not with the way Atlanta's playing, the Mets are playing, San Diego is on a winning streak right now. Philadelphia has taken some lumps, and so is Milwaukee. But the Cardinals do have that 8.5-game lead, and we're knocking a day off the schedule each day. The Mets won the first 2 games in the series with Milwaukee, and I don't see the Mets letting up any tonight, nor do I see San Diego letting up at all as they're trying to firm up their playoff position.
So now that we are 2 weeks out from the end of the regular season, that magic number is 6, and that'll continue to dwindle over the next week here, and maybe they clinch with about a week to go. I guess you never really know. But what do you want to see out of them? What is the most important thing to you to see before the end of the regular season, other than health? Everybody knows health is important, but outside of that, what do you want to see?
Well, I'd like to see the pitching lineup, actually the way it has been, getting the 2 great starts from Dakota Hudson and Jose Quintana. And there are games where if Jordan Montgomery gives up 3 runs, he should be able to win most of those. The same for Adam Wainwright giving up 4 runs. Many of those games, you figure the Cardinals are going to be in and you're going to win. So I do like the way the pitching is forming right now, and Miles Michaelis goes tonight. But I'd like to see Oliver continue to use his bench and his lineup the way he has, because it has taken the Cardinals to this point where they're 8.5 games ahead by resting a Goldschmidt, by making him a DH, or doing the same the next day with Arenado, and then mixing in the bench players. Granted, in a 5-game series over 4 days, everybody's going to play. They have to play, or you're going to wear out your regular lineup. But I think the way Ollie has been managing the Cardinal bench, the lineup, and the way Mike Maddox and Oliver have been handling things with their bullpen and the starting rotation, and it was so encouraging what Dakota Hudson did over the weekend. It's great having him right there where you can call on Hudson, and Quintana had one of the best starts since he became a Cardinal, and I think Montgomery has been quite consistent, but he hasn't been able to win the last 2 times out because they didn't score for him. But I think the guys will start clicking in here shortly, and there is time to get on a roll, and maybe tonight's the night.
John, you mentioned the way that Oliver Marmol's done a really nice job of getting people rest, mixing people in. I thought his comments the other day were pretty interesting too, about how they're not going strict platoon, but they essentially have a platoon setup now, with Corey Dickerson having been so good lately, facing right-handers, Lars Nootbaar, obviously Alec Burleson, all of those guys hit from the left side. And you've got guys that hit from the right side, like Dylan Carlson from being a switch hitter. Juan Yepes is back now. I find that interesting because that really is a significant trend in the sport, teams playing matchups as much as possible.
Well, look at the way Baltimore was able to utilize that under Earl Weaver.
Oh, yeah.
And then Joe Altobelli and what San Francisco did last year. If you weren't performing in that San Francisco roster, if you were a player or in the bullpen or in the rotation, they found somebody else who had a fresh arm or who had a pretty good approach at the plate in the minor leagues and brought those guys up. And they had a really good blend of ages on that roster where they had veteran players and newcomers and everything in between. That's how San Francisco won so many games last year. And Oliver Marmol wanted that same kind of approach because I do think it keeps your lineup fresher and it keeps everybody engaged. And it's a pretty good recipe for winning all the way through if you are lucky enough to get into October. So I really like the approach. And when Dickerson started hitting, when Nootbaar started picking it up, and when others off the bench became more effective, Kisner was actually hitting the ball well for a pretty good stretch. Then that kind of system becomes very good, and it produces great results for you.
It's interesting, John. I've been thinking since you mentioned Earl Weaver's name, he was a bit ahead of his time, wasn't he? With playing the platoons in the outfield. The one I remember best was John Lowenstein and Gary Renicky kind of sharing time. But I think he did it with Dan Ford and maybe Jim Dwyer as well. But
sure
he was
and it didn't matter the time of game, Kevin. It didn't matter if there was a pitching change in the third inning. Boom, he'd go to the next guy. You bring the right-hander in, the left-handed batter is coming in the game. It did not matter, and he was able to win that way because he had great pitching and great defense. Those guys you're talking about. Dwyer wasn't a particularly great defender, but he was okay, and the rest. They just backed up a great pitching staff that didn't have to rely a whole lot on a bullpen because those starters went so deep in ball games.
And they got all those 3-run homers from Eddie Murray and Cal Ripken that he loves so much.
Doesn't hurt.
No, and it doesn't hurt when we get a few of those from Goldie and Arenado.
That's right.
And Albert Pujols. And guys, those are coming back here real soon.
And speaking of Albert, he is 2 away from 700, as we've talked about a number of times. I enjoyed reading that Ricky has said, even if he's on the call at the moment, he's going to step aside and allow you to take the call when Albert comes to the plate. What was your thought when you heard that gesture? And I'm sure it's something he's said to you in person before we read about it here recently.
Well, and Danny said the same thing. And I've always had the belief, guys, that if something happens when it's your call and your innings, you get the call. That's the way it goes. Jack said that with Mike when McGuire was on the home run chase with Roger Maris, that if it happens during Mike's innings, Mike gets the call. And oddly enough, in Kansas City, Denny Matthews is a Hall of Fame broadcaster over there, and I absolutely love Denny. I've known him since going back to 1971, first time I met him. But Fred White had most of the great George Brett calls. That's just the way it worked out. And I'm honored and I'm taken back that the guys are going to do that, and they want me to do that. So I'll step in there. But I've always believed that when it's your innings, it's your calls.
And I know we've talked before too, John. I know that it's not it's not your thing to like script it or think about it too much in advance. It's much better, kind of natural and off the cuff. But man, it just feels like there's so many. Like every one of these Albert home runs feels so real when I hear your call, Ricky's call, because the excitement comes through, and it's just I find that to be what I remember as a child. Of what I loved the most about baseball play-by-play were those kinds of moments.
Well, I've kind of been scripting it out like there goes the ball cascading ever so gently through the autumn night and into the seats in left field where a fan wearing red, white, and blue has captured the record-setting home run goal. What do you think? Do you think that'll play?
I love it.
I love it, too. Here's my
when you script something like that, that's what it sounds like. It's phony.
Yeah.
It's awful. And just jump into the moment because, first and foremost, I got into this because I love baseball. I was a fan. I still am. I still am a fan of the game. There are things about it I don't care for, and I let it be known last night. I think these mound visit limitations are ridiculous. It's umpires calling strikes and batters staying in the batter's box and pitchers attacking the strike zone. If you put those three in there, you don't need to limit umpire visits or in fact, umpire visits to the mound are more frequent because catchers and batters are getting hurt at the plate. But to limit the catcher going out there and talking to his pitcher at a key moment, to have 5 up there on the board, it's just an accounting nightmare. And the pitch clock, I'm kind of in favor of, but there are things in this game that I absolutely love. That's why I got into it. That's why I still love it, because these guys make it look so easy. And all things considered, we have these great numbers that are being put up by these awesome players like Albert Pujols, and we had Cal Ripken, we have McGuire and Sosa, what Judge is doing now in the American League. He's up for the Triple Crown over there, let alone setting the American League home run record in a single season. So there's a lot of great things to follow and watch. And just to be a part of it with the Cardinals and Albert Pujols, it's great to be in the mix.
If you want us to, John, we are more than happy to crowdsource suggestions for your number 700. We'll see what the people say.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll get a list together. We'll present them to you, and then you can decide if you want to use them or not.
Okay. Hey, that's cool. The fans should be involved because it's all about taking care of them.
That's right.
That's why we're there.
All right.
That's why we're there. We're there providing the service where they can be in on the action right along with us. So I'd be amused, and I'd love to hear it. Like someone sent Ricky a tweet the other day on his Twitter account saying the Cardinals should buy a pop-up blocker.
Oh, that's actually brilliant.
I like that.
All in good fun, but that was pretty quick. That was a night where he had like about 8 or 10 pop-ups or short fly balls to the outfield. Maybe they should invest in a pop-up blocker, and I thought that was witty.
Yeah, that's very good. All right, well, we'll get a little crowdsourcing done. We'll sort out the ones that include profanity, and then we'll pass the rest to you.
I don't know. We might include those too. Let John pick. You get to pick,
Wait a
John.
minute. I thought that's all Kevin would send me anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm known for that, but
oh God, is he? He is.
What does he have to do with this?
I don't know. That's a great
Former
point.
closer.
Great question. Great question.
All right.
John, thanks so much. Have fun tonight.
I plan on it. It's better days ahead, guys. We're going to have some fun before this all said and done this week.
Looking forward to it. John Rooney joining us here on the Redbird Report on KMOX. 8:40 tonight for the first pitch. John and Rick on the call. Miles Michaelis pitching for the Cardinals. Blake Snell for the Padres. Lefty on the mound. Albert Pujols will certainly be in the lineup for that tonight, looking for number 699. And 7:45 marks the start of our pregame show.
And that's it. Give it now. We want them now. We are looking for suggestions for John Rooney's number 700 home run call for Albert Pujols. 314-944-1120 if you want to act it out.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're for the people of Missouri. We're for kayakers, trail hikers, wine tasters, cave divers, grocery baggers, car dealers, and the man who plays saxophone outside the coffee shop. We're for the 100,000 fans that taught the nation how to tailgate, and the Division II national champion mules. We're for cowboys, hipsters, lead singers, and everyone else who likes to wear tight jeans. We're for the guy in a camo hat at a Nelly concert. We're for Rolla engineers and weekend volunteers. Armed service members, you bet we're for you. We're for teachers, preachers, students, and singers. We're for anyone who ends their address with a comma and a mo. We're for people who shake your hand and say hello, not because they know you, but because they don't. We're for contractors, road pavers, ticket takers, and horse trainers. We're for brewmasters, stockbrokers, beauty queens, and truck drivers. And if you're a fourth-generation soybean grower, don't worry. We're still for farmers, too. Whatever you do, if you're a Missourian, we're for you. We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we've got Missouri covered.
If you own investment rental properties and you've been thinking about selling, we are very interested. The market is very strong. We've been very aggressive with our offers. So if you own a package of single-family houses that you'd like to sell, or one single-family rental property you'd like to sell, apartments or commercial investment property, please reach out and we can provide you a very simple transaction. Klamengroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com, 314-946-9999, 946-9999, buying in Missouri and Illinois.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement to stock market risk? How would you like the potential to participate in credited interest from market index returns and limit the downside? Join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio. You can also call me now for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233.
Giddy up and dust off your boots. Join Paraquat on September 23rd with Entertainment High Noon at Clayton Ritz-Carlton for the Shine the Light Gala event, the wildest gala in the West. Paraquat is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower people with disabilities to increase their independence through choice and opportunity. For more information, go to paraquat.org or contact Anna Corbett at 314-289-4214.
Hey, it's Trish Gazelle for Ophthalmology Associates, the office of Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Brusati, and Dr. Andy Royer. I went there over 20 years ago for my LASIK procedure. Couldn't be happier 20 years later. They are the doctors, and that's their nickname because they have treated more than 250 doctors, more than any other practice. And Dr. Birdie and Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eye, eyes, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and LASIK surgery. Call for an appointment today. Doctors Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Brusati, and Dr. Andy Royer, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com. They're located off Manchester Road, 12990 Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270 on eastbound Manchester Road. Again, for more information, call Ophthalmology Associates at 314-966-5000 or go to youridoc.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts at the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. This year marks our 60th anniversary serving our clients and friends, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Norbert Butts. As your local independent insurance agency, we've been proud to represent many fine carriers such as Safeco, Travelers, and Progressive. So please give us a call for all your insurance needs. 314-752-2500 or CrawfordButts.com.
Carol Daniel here. Leslie Gill, president of Rung for Women, addresses the gender wage gap in our latest episode of PNC C-Speak, the language of executives. She advises employers to stop asking applicants for their previous salary and post the range. PNC C-Speak provides digital storytelling from a C-level perspective on relevant, forward-thinking business approaches. Listen to our 14-minute podcast with Leslie Gill at KMOX.com/PNC C-Speak. PNC C-Speak, the language of executives.
Get started with the Vision Walk today and form your Vision Walk team to raise money for a cure. For more information, go to visionwalk.org or call 314-852-7223.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. Back to the show.
Yeah, the show!
With Amy, Chris, and Kevin on KMOX.
All right, back in on the show. Chris Ranji, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Amy is on vacation. She will return from vacation tomorrow. Just got a quick note here. I know we joked about it at the beginning of the show, and I feel like mentioning it again because of the silliness of it all. I'm playing the Simpsons theme because, well, there is a belief that this Saturday, oops, sorry, didn't mean to stop that. There you go. I'm going to let that play underneath there a little bit. There's a belief, Ranj, circulating in the QAnon universe that this Saturday there's going to be a huge catastrophic event of some kind. Like it's going to be a quote like a society-changing event. And the reason they believe this is because, and it's not, I wouldn't say that it's everyone. I mean, obviously, these belief systems have factions and sections and people in different places that believe different versions of whatever their philosophy is. But there is a belief amongst a large number of people in the QAnon universe now that the reason they think that something's happening this Saturday, September the 24th, is that something happened on The Simpsons that foretold this.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so there's a member on Telegram, a QAnon person on Telegram, who pointed out that in episode 9, season 24, 924, get it?
Mm-hmm.
Get it, Ranj?
Mm-hmm.
September 24th?
I got you.
In episode 9 of season 24 in the animated sitcom, the plot revolves around a group of preppers. And in particular, the characters discuss a topic without rule of law, WROL, which is doomsday prepper lingo for the complete breakdown of society after a major catastrophe. The episode also features an electromagnetic pulse device, an EMP, which QAnon followers believe will usher in 10 days of darkness.
Oh.
And then ultimately the return of President Donald Trump to the Oval Office.
Okay.
So something big apparently is going to happen on Saturday. I guess maybe an EMP because it was foretold on The Simpsons.
Oh, well, no, but okay. So it was March 4th of 2021 last year, right?
Yeah.
Like that was supposed to be a big day.
There's been a bunch of these. Like,
so then that
was
doesn't.
Was that the day that JFK was supposed to reveal himself?
No, I think that was supposed to be like November of
or
last
JFK
year.
Jr.
JFK Jr.
Because you had all those folks that went to Dallas.
Yes, and they were hanging out there, but
abandoned their families and never went home because they were going to stay there and wait.
I don't know if that was that QAnon or was that something separate?
I don't know. That sounds like Heaven's Gate, though.
It does sound like Heaven's Gate. The spaceship is coming behind the comet. Was it Hail Bop? Wasn't that the comment?
That was.
Yeah, so March 4th was supposed to happen. They build up to this large date, and it doesn't happen, and people in the organization, if you want to call it that, are dejected, like, oh my gosh, how did this thing not happen? So now it's just a new date. We're gonna keep creating dates.
Same thing happened January 6th, by the way. There are a lot of people that felt that was going to be the big day.
We had stuff happen.
The trial, no, but they believe that was going to result in the trials and then the return and all this. We've seen doomsday prognostications from all kinds of people over the centuries, and we're all still here. So get ready for the next date, I guess.
I'm still waiting for 2012 to happen, Kevin.
It's been a while. Late by a decade. What's a decade here and there?
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Zero Res. So heading into the end of the Cardinal season and postseason, hopefully this goes a long way. Fall and Halloween and Thanksgiving, and we're not that far away from the winter holidays and Christmas and New Year's and all that stuff. I say this to say that you're probably going to be spending a lot more time inside than you do during the summer. Kids certainly are. You're going to be having people over to watch playoff games and trick or treat and Thanksgiving and the whole bit. You want to make sure that your home is as clean and beautiful and presentable and welcoming and hygienic as possible. So Zero Res is making it easy for you. Do 3 rooms of Zero Res carpet cleaning for $129. Take $75 off of your air duct cleaning. They're going to make sure that everything is clean and hygienic and beautiful and make you look good. Call 314-474-2020 or ZeroResSTL.com.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
One of the best ways to find out about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath is actually to hear the results for yourself. On the phone with us is Wendy in Darwin. Wendy, you got a brand new bathroom.
I do, and it's beautiful.
Are you loving it?
I am absolutely loving it.
Okay, tell me about your bathroom.
It went from a dark room that felt like an absolute cave when I walked into it to a bright, airy, opened the space up. I mean, I don't know what else. It's just absolutely wonderful.
She's almost speechless. So Darwin, tell me about all the man stuff. How did it work? The quality, the convenience, how did they do?
Excellent. We contacted 3-Day Bath and they got back to us the next day. The communication was excellent. They were on time in all their promises, and it's beautiful. It's a great bathroom.
Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
For more about your new kitchen or bath, visit 3daykitchen.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
KMOX, KEZK, HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, Mott's Matt here for Brewpub Lots and Mott's Pizza. You know, there are very few things in life worth waiting for. Pizza's done.
Oh, I'm on it. I'm starving. I've been waiting.
I wouldn't do that. It's going to be really...
It's so hot. It's burning my mouth.
A Brewpub Lots and Mott's Pizza it's the epitome of delayed gratification. So when your Brewpub Pizza is done and the temptation to dive right in due to the deliciousness of every bite overwhelms you, step back, give it time, and know it's worth the wait. Brewpub Lots and Mott's Pizza is available in your local grocery store.
You may have heard about rising interest rates everywhere else, but at Diamonds Direct, we're helping you start your forever with 0 interest rates. Get the unbeatable price Diamonds Direct is known for and enjoy 0 interest financing for 5 years on any purchase. At Diamonds Direct, we believe now more than ever you need to make your money go farther, and we're making it happen with this extraordinary limited time offer. Get that $8,000 designer ring for just over $133 a month. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion. Get details and more now at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 1 o'clock, it's a partly cloudy sky and 93 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour.
CBS News special report. New York's Attorney General Letitia James is suing former President Donald Trump, alleging business fraud.
The complaint demonstrates that Donald Trump falsely inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself and to cheat the system, thereby cheating all of us.
The suit centers around Trump's real estate holdings. His 3 adult children are named as defendants.
When the well-connected break the law, to take in more money that they are entitled to. It reduces resources to working people, to regular people, to small businesses, and to all taxpayers.
James is referring her findings to federal prosecutors and the IRS.
We believe the conduct alleged in this action also violates federal criminal law, including issuing false statements to financial institutions and bank fraud.
CBS News Special Report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
The man convicted of killing North County Police Cooperative Officer Michael Langsdorff sentenced today to life in prison plus an additional 40 years. In June, a jury found 29-year-old Bonette Meeks guilty of second-degree murder, armed criminal action, unlawful possession of a firearm, and felony resisting arrest. Officer Langsdorff was responding to a report of a stolen check. If Meeks had complied with the arrest by Officer Langsdorff for trying to cash a check that did not belong to him, even if convicted, he would have served his time and likely been a free man by now, Prosecutor Wesley Bell said. A shooting victim is dropped off at Barnes Hospital on Kings Highway by a friend who runs away. KMOX's Kevin Killeen reports.
Witnesses tell KMOX that a little after 11, this black Volvo pulled up in a hurry in front of the emergency room entrance, and the driver ran off up the sidewalk toward Children's Hospital. The passenger, a man visibly bleeding, got out, and he was taken inside quickly. Then police swarmed the car. They retrieved a shotgun and a pistol. And just a few minutes ago, police were seen bringing back a suspect they believe was the driver who had run off.
The First Mid Bank and Trust business desk, Target, has spent the past couple of years renovating its St. Louis area stores. Now, the other big discounter is following suit. Walmart says it plans to spend $240 million to update 41 stores in the state of Missouri. Local stores getting a refresh include 2 in St. Peters, plus Maplewood, Fenton, Lake St. Louis, and more. All remodeled locations will offer delivery and pickup services. The Dow from Stifel is down 56 points, just updated, down 101 points to 30,605. And we've got a crash on 270 East to New Hulse Ferry, a crash on 70 West at Lambert Airport that's just been cleared. Exits closed, 55 South to exit 162. Stall on 6440 eastbound past 6th Street. The left lane is closed.
The hot weather getting ready to exit with a cool front coming through late today, partly to mostly sunny skies. We should pop up close to 94 before that front comes through. The record's safe. It's an old one, 1881 at 97. We're not going to hit that. Then tonight, really late afternoon into the evening, some spotty showers and thunderstorms as the front comes through. Does not have a lot of moisture to work with. Otherwise, clouds dominate 62. Thursday, clouds to start, turning partly sunny. So it's a day of clearing and much cooler on Thursday. 72 for the high. Fall officially begins at 8:04 in the evening Thursday night. And we're going down to 48 degrees Thursday night into Friday morning. Friday, a changeable sky with a mix of clouds and sunshine and a cool 68. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
It's partly cloudy at 91 in Florissant, 92 in St. Peters, and 93 degrees downtown at the Arch.
KMOX is covering breaking news.
This just in, the Federal Reserve has decided to raise its key rate by a substantial 0.75 of a point for the third straight time in an effort to fight inflation. More coming up in the news at 1:30. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Sponsored by True Law. Learn more at sickvets.com.
If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. You could be awarded financial compensation, but you must act now. Call 877-560-8555 for your free case review or visit sickvets.com. That's sickvets.com.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
105 on the show. Chris Raji, Kevin Wheeler here. Amy Marshcore is on vacation for one more day. She will be back and joining us tomorrow. I want to update a couple of quick things that we've touched on already today. One of them you just heard in the news with Michael Calhoun, that the Fed has raised the interest rate by 0.75 of a point, which is what Dave Simon said. I think that was kind of the common belief, but he mentioned it with us a little bit earlier on in the show when we got his opinion on what this, whether or not this was going to happen, what it's going to mean, and then also what the big picture outlook was. Highly recommend heading to KMOX.com or popping on the Odyssey app to get the podcast on that. And we'll tweet out a link to the podcast once the show is over as well. Yep. But really good information in there from Dave. Everything from how bad could this be, to what positive actions you can take in this time. I mean, he was talking about if you have the resources, if you're well positioned, this is actually a really good time to get in and buy things. Is in a couple of years, they're all going to go back up. And that's basically how you make money. That's how he described it. But I mean, you're better off listening to him get into the details by checking out the podcast.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. So give it a listen. The podcast, as always, is posted right after the show is done. You can go back and listen to anything you missed. All of our hijinks, you can listen to that stuff too. Odyssey app is free. Download it. It's great. And then, as you said, KMOX.com.
Yeah. And if you missed on the story on the number of ants that exist on planet Earth, that's there too.
20 quadrillion.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Is what scientists now estimate.
Yes. It's pretty amazing.
That's a lot of ants.
We also got an update here in looks like it's about the last half hour, Ron, on a story we hit on earlier today with now former Fox 2 anchor Vic Faust. He's been fired by the TV station. I don't know that we've heard yet from the radio station. And it was actually an incident that happened at the radio station where he was doing a morning show with co-host Crystal Cooper, with the audio of an off-air tirade was, I guess, put on an anonymous tip line for the Post-Dispatch. And, they verified that it was real, and it's posted there now. It's pretty simple. He goes off on his co-host, on Crystal Cooper, and I don't think any of us are naive enough to think that people don't fight in the workplace. We've all been around it. We've all seen it. We've all had shouting matches of some kind. Mine have all been pretty mild in the workplace. I mean, usually it's a quick disagreement, and then, all right, we're moving on to the next thing. But this one was more than that. This got personal. He called her fat, stupid, said she's a terrible mom, and feels sorry for his kids. And there's just a lot more of that kind of thing. Like, if you come back, I'm going to be blankety up your blank every blanking day or whatever.
Well, I guess not now.
No, not now. And again, regardless of whether this is Vic Faust or anyone else, I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job. And if you'd like to give us your 2 cents on just these types of things in the workplace, whether you've experienced things and what the outcome of that was, or where your line is, you can call us 314-436-7900. We'll open up the phone lines. You can text 314-436-7900 in case you don't want to wait on hold. And you can also drop a voicemail at 314-944-1120. I think the issue at hand here, and the reason that he's being fired by Fox 2, is that a line was crossed. And you can say that the line can move. You can say that maybe it's open to interpretation. But I think we're all very clearly understanding that when you cross the line between professional and personal, and the insults become personal, that's going to get you in trouble, especially when you are a front-facing person for a media company.
Which is why, and I don't know the nature of the recording. I don't know if it mentioned in the story. I don't recall if she recorded it with her phone, if it was already recording because they are doing they were doing video, which I think was rolling during the break, but it sounded like it was like that was muted, their part. So I'm not sure. Did it say in the story if she had been recording it herself?
It just says that it was a digital recording that was anonymously sent to a tip line.
It could be, and who knows? It could have been her. It could have been because she's thinking, you know what? This has happened before. So when he goes in on me, I'm going to record this so I have it, so I have some proof, and I don't blame her if that's what she did, or if the station was already rolling in the studio, the producer, who knows? Whatever happened, there was a recording of it. And that's right. It was done anonymously. But my guess is something like that has happened before, which would prompt somebody to be ready to disseminate that to the press. So I don't understand why it's not easier. You may not like your coworkers. I've disliked coworkers before, not very many, but there have been a couple I don't care for. And this is in 20 years of being in this business. But I've never gotten to the point where I've seen that, where that kind of behavior happens, where you're just really personal when you scream at somebody else. I mean, I've seen some screaming every now and then, but I've never seen it where it's super personal like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little personal, but not like you're a bad mom and you're fat and stuff like that. What are we doing here? How do we not know that this is not how you behave? How do we not know to stop ourselves if we are that angry? I think most people are, clearly, but I would guarantee you this happens in a lot of workplaces. But women in particular are afraid to go to somebody and tell them for fear of them getting shouted down again. I'm sure that happens a lot.
Yeah, and again, it can be a difficult hard line to draw because personal can be different. Some people are very offended by the use of swear words. So if you come at them with swear words, that might have the same impact as something that would be even more personal. Because again, like swearing doesn't bother me. If somebody swears at me, Ron, if you swore at me, I wouldn't be. It would have zero impact on me whatsoever, other than maybe it would have me swear back at you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But other people are really offended by such
Good,
things.
then I got something to tell you.
And you're right. I mean, we've seen this, and I've seen it before. I've been a part of arguments in the workplace before. Nothing crazy, nothing where it escalated to a quote fight. But it's never gone to the level where you're insulting someone's ability as a parent, where you're insulting their body. Right. In this case, calling her fat or whatever exact term he used, like that shows you that you either have lost control, right? Like your temper has gotten out of control, or you actually think that way, which is also not okay. Some people do kind of go blackout rage when they get mad. And I don't mean physically necessarily, but you just start going and you don't have the ability to stop yourself. Well, you should control that.
Right.
You need to seek help for that if you know that that's something that happens to you. And others say those things because they really mean them, because they've been thinking them, and this is just the excuse to get into it. And, I don't think it's complicated. I know I believe this fully. I believe this 100% true. If I did that today to somebody in this building, I'd be fired today.
And you should be.
Yes, absolutely.
All of us should be.
Yes. I don't think any of us are any different in that regard.
And to Fox's credit, they did take care of it. I know there was some question, and I questioned it too. Why not say something? Because this story's been out there for a couple of days. At minimum, say we're looking into it, we're investigating. I don't believe they did that anywhere. I know they were asked specifically about it by reporters in this city and did not have comment or did not respond to requests for comment. But at least they did the right thing. I mean, you have to. You can't allow that because, as I said earlier, Vic Faust, and I don't know him at all. This week was the first time I ever heard his name. Don't know who he is. I would imagine, though, that their thinking is, and this is how it should be, that yes, maybe you're talented. Again, I don't know if he is or not. He might be great at his job. He might not be. But there are other people who are talented, as much so, if not more talented, who don't do that stuff to coworkers. And that's the standard that we should all be held to. That, yeah, we can be jerks, fine, but if we go over the top with being jerks, just know that there's somebody else out there who can do your job who's not a jerk.
Yeah, we just had a text that pointed out that, as you said, they had no choice. 314 says it would have affected the workplace environment, and more importantly, ratings too. And that's another big part here is, especially on TV, but it's true of radio too. Likability matters, right? Especially when you talk about evening newscasts over time in memoriam. I mean, since the dawn of television news, the likability factor of an anchor has been a primary reason for keeping them around and for them getting ratings and having success, which is why so many of them are very cool people, right? I mean, like, they're likable and friendly. They look good on camera, all of that. Well, if you become a not likable character, you're bad for business.
Which is different. Television is different than radio, especially what they do, because they are presenting news. They're not really giving opinions.
Right.
But in an opinion job, like radio a lot of times is, not our newsroom. Our newsroom does not do opinions.
No.
It's news. The rest of us do. That's what I do. You, yep. Amy, everybody on the show, Glover, in the afternoon. That's the job there. There are times where people hate you, but they will listen to you in part because they hate you and they want to hate listen. That happens, but TV's different. Like, you can't be that way on television, especially knowing you've got female coworkers at your TV station, and I'm assuming he's got he's an anchor, right? Or was. He was an anchor.
Yeah, he worked with Mandy Murphy.
Yeah, so he's got a female co-anchor. I mean, how does she? I can't imagine she wants to sit next to him, knowing what he's done.
I'm not gonna guess at what anybody thinks. I mean, I have no idea.
I will.
How interpersonal relationships work, but I know this: when you go past this point, when it's very clear that you have crossed a line and you got personal with a coworker, if it doesn't result in firing, and another thing comes up somewhere down the road, it's a lawsuit. Right, against the company. Because, listen, you knew this guy was like this, and then you let it happen again. Now it's a lawsuit. And who knows, maybe this is too. Not against Fox 2, because he didn't do this at TV there. I'm just saying that's another reason why teams have to do this. And I forget what the scenario was, but we had a texter now that says that some others have been fired for a lot less than that. That's true.
Right.
I mean, there have been people that have been fired for making, just mistakes. Whether it's on the air or even off the air. And by the way, this is a mistake, but it's a pretty big mistake when you're getting that personal in a fight with somebody that's a coworker.
It's intentional. It's not like accidentally dropping an F-bomb live while your mic's hot, which is you're not supposed to.
It's not a Ron Burgundy.
No, yeah, it's not that. I mean, that's a mistake, but people are going to live. That's a mistake that people should be able to overcome.
Yeah.
But, when you're insulting personally a coworker, that's not good. Never excusable.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to The Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Tom Ackerman for Building Community with Busey Bank, a podcast series easily accessible at KMOX.com/community banking. This summer, the Little Bit Foundation lost their huge warehouse and headquarters in the flood. It's both a heartbreaking and inspirational story, with Busey and the community helping. Listen to our September podcast, Building Community with Busey Bank, at KMOX.com/community banking.
Get your car at your price at Bomarito. Shop thousands of new vehicles at our state-of-the-art sales and service facility. Our product specialists will make your experience quick and easy. Or just browse, view, and buy 100% online with Bomarito Fast Pass. Let's get more for your trade and the Bomarito nationwide warranty. 10 years, 200,000 miles. A better experience, a better price. Go with the automotive leader, Bomarito, Missouri's #1 automotive group. Open 24/7 at Bomarito.com.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Fruits and vegetables are very environmentally friendly foods. Make them even more friendly by eating them in season. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
When you read financial news updates, popular headlines include inflation, 401ks, and taxes, but bottom line, it all comes back to the #1 fear, which is running out of money. If you're close or in retirement, you have two big jobs: protect your life savings and create income for retirement. So how do you do that? You call Steve All and the team at the All Financial Group, and you put together a customized, comprehensive plan. Start checking off those boxes for income for life, tax-free retirement, and much more.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Call today, 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Brown. The physicians at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, To eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now. 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is, without any inspections or the need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-328-8000 or at chrisbuyshomes.louis.com and get your cash offer without any obligations, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay the rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, and check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-328-8000. That's 314-328-8000. Call Chris and get the offer you've been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com or call 314-328-8000.
Live and local. This is St. Louis's News Radio, KMOX.
All right, it's 122 on the show. Chris Ranji, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Amy will be back tomorrow. Raj, coming up in a few minutes, we want to get to something that was covered on Total Information AM this morning about the way people drive, and this is from Missouri State Highway Patrol. It's observing kind of traffic, like driver behaviors during the COVID lockdown when traffic was basically lower than it had been at any point in our lifetimes. And now what is it like that we're kind of getting back to normal, that we have a more normal traffic load on a day-to-day basis? And I know a lot of our behaviors were altered by that, by the shutdown. It had impacts on people different ways. Before we even get into the specific part of this with the traffic patterns, we'll play some of the audio from you. Dallas Thompson from the Highway Patrol was on TIAM this morning explaining that. I think a lot of things about people changed after the shutdown. I feel like, and maybe it's just a general progression because just the direction that things have been going politically for a number of years, it's always getting more and more heated. But I feel like since the lockdown started, there's just been more broad general anger.
Oh, well, yeah, I would totally agree
So do
with
you
that.
think
I
that
think it's been getting worse over the last, you could say 10 years, but it's, you know what? Actually, I'd probably go back like 12 or 14 years.
It might be.
I think it's been increasingly angrier, but the last 4 or 5 has been hyper angry.
Do you think that the
and then the pandemic did not help?
Well, I was going to say, do you think that was maybe an accelerator? Because I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely.
It's been building for a long time. In fact, I think I would probably trace it to, I don't know exactly how long after 9/11, but it was shortly after, maybe a year later. We started down this path of disagreement and
once the Iraq War started.
And it was pretty mild at the beginning relative to now. Now it's just nonstop. I mean, we get messages all the time that are like text messages all the time that are just insane.
Yeah, it's crazy now. It's not just disagreement.
I disagree, not just you're wrong about this, look it up. It's crazy stuff. It's like your masters will be happy. Ugh.
Yeah. That person has to be trolling. But
I hope so. If you are, that was well done.
That was funny. You're really well done. Otherwise, get help. But you're right. I think that the anger combined with the absolute craziness and the thoughts that there are thoughts that people have now, and I see them write them out on Twitter or they say them on TV, and I go, what kind of person are you that believes this? Like, how does anybody listen to that and go, yep, I'm on board, brother? Like, I don't get it. And maybe that sense of angerness does manifest in multiple different ways. I do believe one of them is driving.
Yeah.
Because people are really angry in the car anyway.
Don't look at me like that.
Yeah, I've seen you drive. Good Lord, you're a psychopath, Kevin. But there is it's real, and I think I understand why you get angry in the car. Because for whatever reason, when you're in the car, it does seem like other people are not paying attention. And maybe you're one of those people who is not paying attention. You have no awareness of anything going on around you. And that infuriates people when you see somebody not know that you're in the lane right next to them, or not know that you're right behind them in the fast lane and you're driving 40 miles an hour, which, by the way, did literally happened to me on Monday. I got onto Highway 40 off one of the ramps that exits onto the fast lane.
Yeah.
And this lady, no, it happened on Sunday. This lady was driving 40. I know she was driving 40 because I had sped up to 45 up the ramp and I was going faster than her. And I'm like, how are you driving 40 in the left lane? And you get mad for multiple reasons. One, she's holding you up. Two, she's completely clueless to what's going on around her. And when people are clueless, it makes you angrier. So I understand it. I get why there's the rage. And then you add on top of it, our politics sucks and you're just generally angrier when you're in the car, then it compounds.
Well, we're going to tell you what the Missouri Highway Patrol has found, both during the COVID shutdown with people's speeding habits, and then whether or not it's come back down to earth with people back on the roads like more normal, like more pre-COVID. So we'll get into that next up on the show.
There aren't many things I'm good at, but I was born with a talent for start. It's like the difference between poking someone with your finger a little bit and punching them as hard as you can. And that is what it feels like in the world where everyone is just rearing back and throwing haymakers so that 18 people will like their tweet, and there's a possibility it goes viral because I was so mean or I was so this or so that. And personally, it just kind of like, ugh.
A little snark and a whole lot more. The Dave Glover Show, weekdays at 2 on KMOX.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet Store. Do you want to walk and stay healthy, but cannot because you are in pain?
I just had difficulty walking. I could not walk in bare feet at all.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts from the drugstore with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet Store.
The Good Feet system fits in all your shoes. So come to the Good Feet Store and become pain-free today.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Dearborn's.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet Store.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at ThrottleNet. These are the genius IT guys that I've been representing for years and years now. We are number one all the time. Best in customer service from Small Business Monthly. Best in cybersecurity, again, Small Business Monthly. We have an average response time. I love this statistic. The average response time in St. Louis in 2020 by IT companies. You have a problem, you reach out to them, hey, I'm all shut down, help me, was 3 hours. If you got back within 3 hours, you were cool. Ours was 1 minute, 57 seconds, and the guys were very unhappy with that. It takes less than 2 minutes for us to address your problems. Here's a huge thing. We are now offering $500,000 in ransom protection to everyone who uses us. This is part of the deal. You don't pay extra for it. So if you happen to be hit and you have to pay, we're going to pay it up to $500,000. Now, this shows you how confident we are because no one under our protection has ever had to pay. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS.
At 1:30, it's a sunny sky and 94 degrees downtown at the Arch. Intensifying its fight against chronically high inflation, the Federal Reserve raised its key interest rate by a substantial 0.75 of a point for a third straight time. The Fed's move boosted its benchmark short-term rate, which affects many consumer and business loans, to a range of 3 to 3.25%, the highest level since early 2008. The policymakers also signaled that by early 2023, they expect to have further raised rates much higher than they had projected in June. The central bank's action followed a government report last week that showed high costs spreading more broadly through the economy. New York's Attorney General has sued former President Donald Trump and his company, alleging business fraud involving some of their most prized assets, including properties in Manhattan, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. The City of St. Louis's Department of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry gets a good rating from the state auditor's office. State Auditor Nicole Galloway says recommendations include improving payroll procedures, better oversight of physical inventory, and reviewing permit fees. Watch out for a crash on 270 East at Newhalls Ferry, 70 West at Lambert Airport. They've cleared what was there. 6440 East past 6th Street. Left lane is closed. And the forecast from Dave Murray, few showers and a thunder shower later tonight. Focus on the early evening with a low 62. Tomorrow, a clearing sky, a cool day with a high of 72. Right now, it is 94 downtown at the Arch, sponsored by Midwest Money. It's not all about money at Midwest Money. Come see the spectacular model railroad train layout the first Sunday of every month. It's free. Come one, come all to Midwest Money. And while you're there, walk across the street and check out the coin shop at Midwest Money. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Hi, it's Debbie Monterey, and I see clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Malhotra. You can too. Go to youridoc.com today or call 314-966-5000.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Goodwill and St. Louis Union Station have teamed up to take you under the sea and over St. Louis. When you donate a car, running or not, you can receive 4 tickets to the St. Louis Union Station's aquarium and wheel. Donating a car to Goodwill is quick and easy, and towing is free. Plus, you'll get a good feeling from donating to a charity that does so much in our community. For more information, visit mersgoodwill.org.
Swing and a miss for a Redbird winner. Your St. Louis Cardinals are seeking yet another Central Division championship.
The magic number is 6.
KMOX is Cardinals Radio.
Pre-pandemic numbers, and we're still having troopers reporting they're stopping cars, in the mid 90s, upper 90s, and low 100s, pretty well daily.
That's Dallas Thompson with the Missouri Highway Patrol. He was on with Total Information AM this morning talking about speeding on the highways specifically. I mean, not just regular traffic type stuff, but speeding on the highways. And it's part of the conversation he was talking to, and Carol was describing for him her experience yesterday coming in from the Illinois side. There was a huge traffic backup. There was an accident and a lot of stopped traffic coming across into the city. And she noted that half a dozen cars passed her on the shoulder. And they were talking about this idea that people have become more aggressive. Well, Officer Thompson explained that during COVID, Ron, they caught people speeding at much higher speeds than they had before. And I think also he mentioned at a higher rate. Like he said, it was happening every day. Like they were pulling people over going 110, 115 miles an hour almost every day, in part because the roads were emptier. So there's just more space if you're going to be doing that.
So that's when you're downtown Chicago, whenever you are, if you come down here, and it's not a Cardinals night or a Blues night, or there's some kind of event going on, it's fairly desolate downtown. There isn't a ton of traffic because a lot of people either don't work down here, a lot of people still working from home. You don't have that many people who live in the city. Those numbers might be increasing a little bit. We talked to Jason Hall from Greater St. Louis yesterday, but relatively speaking, there aren't a ton of people and a ton of traffic downtown. So when there's not a ton of traffic, people are blowing through stoplights all the time. And I've only experienced it a couple of times being down here, but I've heard stories from you.
Yeah.
Amy has talked about it. Pretty much everybody at the station, as this station is located right downtown, you witness it. And a lot of people do. And in fact, I just saw it last week. I was at a stoplight about a block away from the building and, waiting. Not a whole lot of cars. In fact, I think there were 0 cars around me, and a minivan on my right just passes and blows right through the stoplight, blows right through the second stoplight, comes to a stop at the third one because he was turning right. So he had to stop. Otherwise, he was going to roll over. So he stopped to turn right. And I thought, come on, man. Like, I know there aren't any cars around here, and these lights are very poorly timed in the city. So it makes you want to kind of move through them. But you're causing harm for other people, or at least the prospect of endangering other people. And it's just, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact nobody's around. People aren't around.
Yeah, I mean, downtown traffic is a lot lighter than I remember it being pre-COVID. I mean, I know, and it's different now. I mean, I didn't work downtown every day until really after COVID had hit, since basically 2013, because that's when I was here before, and then moved out to and working in the burbs, and I didn't have to come downtown. But there's a lot less traffic downtown, but there's a lot more recklessness. And yeah, it's the speed. And as you pointed out, Ron, I mean, I saw it today. Just as I'm coming into work, I'm literally 2 blocks from work, and red light, I stop, 3-4 seconds go by, and a car just goes right through the light. Not stop at the light, look and go, okay, there's nobody coming. What's it going to hurt if I just roll through the intersection and go? Not that. I also see that too. I'm just talking about blatantly blowing through lights that have been red for a long time. A total disregard for any potential consequence of cross traffic coming through, or people crossing the street or anything like that. And I'm curious too, because one of the things that they talked about this morning, Ranj, was that the people speeding haven't slowed down since traffic has come back, since there's been more volume, and it is leading to more accidents. It's leading to more problems, more danger for the rest of us, because people just won't stop what they got into before. I don't know about you. I haven't noticed a change in my driving behavior since COVID. I mean, I drive the same speeds now that I did before.
I'm about the same.
And I did during COVID. I wasn't like, whoo-hoo, open roads, let's go. I mean, I'm not a slow driver. I'm definitely not a speed limit kind of guy. I'm a little bit, but I stay at a certain range, right? I usually stay within that 10 mile an hour range of the speed limit, unless I'm on open highway in the middle of nowhere, in which case I might go a little more than that. But 15 is usually the most I would go over. And I'm surprised though that people haven't just reined it back in when there's traffic. I mean,
when there's traffic,
because you would think that was in your own self. I saw a guy today was like all over 70 as I'm coming downtown. I mean, he was on the shoulder on both sides to pass people, and then eventually got stuck by the same traffic everybody else got stuck by.
Right,
and then did it again, and then got stuck at the same traffic that everybody else. It's just the frequency of that has certainly increased. And I think it goes back to what we talked about in the last segment, Ranj, is whether it's anger or just I don't care anymore, or I don't know what. There's a change.
It's disregard, and some of it probably is the feeling nobody's going to pull you over, or nobody's going to stop you, because we've got into that a lot. How police feel like they can't really, unless somebody is endangering the lives of others. You can't really, pull somebody over, and so I get that feeling, but it has to change quickly because people will continue to get hurt. And I don't know what the right solution for it is, except for really steep penalties for being caught driving that fast. Now, I drive fast too, but I keep it I try to keep it like 8. If I'm on the highway, I try to keep it like 8 miles over.
You want to stay under that 10 threshold because of the, I think it's an urban myth, right? That if you if it's 10 or less, you're not going to get pulled over.
I'm going by that urban myth. Yeah. But there are stiffer penalties
for
being 15
over. By the way, if anybody out there wants
over.
to tell us if that's true or not,
the fines
are
greater.
Neighborhood officer, if you'd like to tell us.
The fines are greater, I think, when you're 15 or higher.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the higher you go, the more money it's going to be. Yeah.
And honestly, the only reason that I stick under, like, I try to be around that 8 over range, 7 or 8 over when I'm on the interstate, is because I think it was probably a 2-month period where I got pulled over twice and ticketed twice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I can't, and I was like going, I think one time I was 83
in a 70 or something.
Yeah 83 in a 70.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I can't do that again. One time I was 86. And there were times when I had a streak of years where I'm 90. I'm at 90 and I'm fine. Nothing ever happened to me. But then I had those 2 tickets over a very short period of time, and I'm like, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to get any more tickets.
Yeah.
And this is a problem for me.
Haven't gotten one in a long time, but then it does seem to do that. Like you'll get a couple of them really close. And you're like, oh, man.
And I've stuck with it.
And by
Like,
the
I've
way,
been really good about it.
I know I deserve them. I'm not going to argue that. I mean, if I get pulled over, I'm never going to be like, oh, I can't believe he pulled me over. I'm like, I was over the speed limit. Right? I get what I deserve. Text line is 314-436-7900. A lot of messages on this topic. Driver Joe says, every morning when I hit the highway, I wish it was we were back in 2020, April, May, because nobody else was on the road with me. Except for those people going 110, apparently, at least according to the Highway Patrol. We've got a few other ones. This one 636 says, when I was commuting from South County to UMSL every morning, the average speed on 5570 would be like 85 in a 55. It was pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. Although I guess, to me, a lot of it depends on the way the road is, right? Like if it's just straight highway, even 80, I'm not saying it's good to do. I'm not saying do this. I'm just saying that like 80 and a 55, if you're out in the middle of nowhere on a straight line highway, is not as crazy as it would be like when you're down, like when you're talking about 55 coming into the city and it's turning and it's crowded and there's exits everywhere and people coming on, some on the left, some on the right. I think the context of the road, but if it's where he's talking about, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Like 85 is a lot for a 55.
Another texter says Highway 70 is lawless. I'm on it daily. People don't even slow down through the 50-mile-an-hour construction zone. Now,
that's true, by the way. I run through that same zone every day, and that's 100% right.
Yeah, construction zones, you have to slow the hell down because you're going to kill somebody. Because people are out there, not in vehicles, they're walking around the road working. And you could hit them. So slow down.
In this
but
I do spot think that he's talking about, if it's there or he or she's talking
I don't
about,
know this spot because I don't travel that.
If it's the spot I'm thinking of, they're barriered off, like they're behind the stone, like the stone barriers, but that doesn't change anything. You should definitely be way more cautious in that zone. And I am about that. I don't know why. I do know why, because people's health and lives are on the line, and I can slow down for whatever number of miles I need to make sure that, we're not causing any problems that could lead to injury or death of those people working.
Well, those barriers aren't 100%
no,
either.
I've
seen
right.
cars fly over them.
Yeah.
So if they're going fast enough, so clearly you've got to be careful in those zones. But I do think there are parts of highways where I don't really understand why the speed limit is low.
Oh, yeah.
Like
100%.
why it's 50? Why is it 55 here? I'm sure there's either a science behind it,
it's a
or there
population
is
thing, typically.
Okay, or they've come to a determination that this should be the appropriate speed limit for where it is. But there is, it's either 50 or 55 on I-55 just past the river when you get to where the Gateway Speedway is, the racetrack. Like right around there, I think it's either 50 or 55, and I don't understand why it's so slow there.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And then I feel like if I drive 70 here, that seems normal, but I'm 15 miles over if I'm going 70 here.
Yeah. So we got a couple of, I got way more. We get tons of response on this. Let's get as many in as we can. One here, texter from the 636 says, you go a little further north, plenty of people just blow through with active traffic. He said, I don't have a problem with people stopping and then going. So we're talking about the red lights.
Yeah.
He's talking more about as long as it's safe and there's no traffic, even though it is a problem, it's not as ridiculous as people that just blow straight through without slowing down and not stopping. I don't get that at all.
I don't mind if people are all going, and I know they say this is not a defense if you do get pulled over, to say I'm going with the flow of traffic and everybody's driving 5 to 10 miles over or whatever. That's not a good defense. It won't help you. You can still get a ticket that way.
Yeah.
But it's what we're talking about is the people who are going so much faster than everybody else and weaving in and out of traffic. And I just saw one of those the other day.
Yeah.
This dude I'm like, come on, man, this isn't Frogger. Like, like go slow the hell down, dude.
Yeah. That same, by the way, same texter I just read said it seems like 90% of drivers feel like they need to go at least 5 over, if not 10 or 15. I'm definitely in that 10 range on a regular basis.
Right there, yeah.
Says, but what does the word limit mean? I think it's a fair point because that's what it says, right? That's the top end that you're expected to go. Obviously, almost nobody does that, right? I mean, I don't see very many people that are at that. I'm not excusing it in any way. I'm not saying that this is an acceptable behavior. It is common behavior.
Yes, it is.
It is very common behavior. And if I got a ticket for 5 over, I'd be really upset about that.
Well, okay, and
I
that's
wouldn't be upset.
that's why
you
it comes
you get
to
me at 10 or more. I listen. You got me. Whatever. You get me at 5, I'm going to be like, dude, you're nitpicking.
There are residential areas around here where I won't go 5 over, like where my parents used to live in Baldwin. Yeah, I can't remember. It was right off Manchester Road. I can't remember what the main street is, but that road there, and then the one that used to turn right on to get to their house, you speed limit, because if you do get pulled over and you're 3 over, they're going to stop you. They're going to stop you and they're going to give you a ticket. So, I mean, my fast driving is normally highways.
Yeah. Or just big 4 or 5 lane roads.
Yeah.
Neighborhood streets, I got to admit, I'm super cautious there. Probably because, you know,
kids.
I mean, I had a longtime kid playing out in front of the house back in the day. Kids are on our street, and I see these goofballs that are like going 50 and a 25. I'm like, dude.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, again, I don't even go 30 and a 25.
Well,
if it's a neighborhood street, because you know what I'm worried about as much as anything? I'm worried about kids, of course, number one.
Right.
But people's dogs get out.
Yep.
You know, we had one of our neighbors had their dog hit by somebody driving down our 25-mile-an-hour road, going 40 on their cell phone, not paying attention to anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be that.
As we've mentioned before, the area in North St. Louis where Crown Candy is, our guy Andy Candy,
yeah.
he is constantly sharing videos of people. Just there's that intersection right there on the corner where Crown Candy is, and people are just like bypassing cars who are stopped at the sign for their typical stop, just blowing right past, going, I don't know, maybe 40, and that's a lot for that street. And it's constant. It's every single day, and he's constantly getting it on camera because of his security cameras are capturing it. And it's just outrageous that nothing has been done about that. By the way, there's a text who says, I have noticed my own speed increasing and my patience with other drivers decreasing. That is true for me too, probably, and it's been, I think, about a 20-year process.
I almost wondered, though, how much the patience thing is an age thing. I have definitely become my dad in that regard.
Wasn't it Seinfeld?
Although I was pretty impatient when I was in my 20s, too. So
I think it was Jerry Seinfeld who had a stand-up bit about whatever your age is, that should be your speed limit. If you're 80, you should get to do 80 because you don't have that much time left. So you should be able to drive. If you're 100 years old, you should be able to drive 100.
Get there faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're running out of time.
That same texter, by the way, hearted the show, gave us a little heart.
So they better heart
Thank
the
you
show.
so much. Appreciate it. You guys hang tight. We got a few more of your messages that we'll get in on this topic when we come back on the show.
Hi, this is Steve Butts at the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. This year marks our 60th anniversary serving our clients and friends, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Norbert Butts. As your local independent insurance agency, we've been proud to represent many fine carriers such as Safeco, Travelers, and Progressive. So please give us a call for all your insurance needs. 314-752-2500 or CrawfordButts.com.
Hi, this is Kent Newbold for Newbold BMW. We just celebrated our 35th year as a BMW dealer by finishing our multi-million-dollar renovation. So come see it. It's Newbold BMW in O'Fallon, Illinois, or NewboldBMW.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
Attention veterans. If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. Cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. Congress is now holding the government accountable. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering, but you must act now. Visit sickvets.com for your free case review by True Law. That's sickvets, like veterans.com. Sickvets.com. Visit sickvets.com.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Join the Foundation Fighting Blindness at the St. Louis Vision Walk on Saturday, October 1st at Creve Coeur Lake Park to help find cures to diseases that cause blindness. Visit visionwalk.org.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. More Amy, more Kevin, more Chris.
What is this weird show?
The Show on KMOX.
All right, 151 on the show. DGS coming up after the top of the hour. All right, Ron, let's finish up that topic. We were talking about the information we got this morning on Total Information AM from Dallas Thompson from the Missouri Highway Patrol.
What a place to get information.
Yeah, great information. And again, what he was talking about in seeing the increase in speeds was not anecdotal. They measured it. Yep. You know, they were looking at the data that they found based on the tickets they were writing and the numbers of them, how fast people were going. And then he was talking about how during the COVID shutdown, those speeds went up dramatically. And since they really haven't come down much, so people haven't gone back to the behaviors that we used to have when there was more traffic, right? So when there's less traffic, more open highway, more willing to go fast, right? I mean, that was kind of the belief. I also think a lot of people believed that they weren't going to get pulled over during that time because of COVID. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to catch it. You don't want to get too close to people. I don't know if that was true, but I know people believed that.
Yeah.
So maybe that led to the whole, well, they're not going to pull me over anyway because they don't want to get COVID. We've been asking questions about this, though, whether you noticed your own behavior changing. Obviously, I think most everybody is agreeing that we're seeing this same change that were described, the same changes that were described by Dallas Thompson on TIAM this morning. Got a text, Ranj, from an officer of the law. 314 says, I will stop and ticket you every time if you're doing 10 or more above the limit. 5 to 10 might be a warning. And probably, and I said, thank you, by the way, appreciate the info, because that's kind of always been the assumption. I just didn't know if it was like a kind of a guidepost they use or if it's just an urban myth that, you're not, and I get it, because if I'm pulling people over, if I put myself in that spot, am I going to pull the person over going 7 or do I wait 1 minute and get the person going 15 over? Because that 15 over is going to be there in 1 minute. It's going to happen right then and there. And it seemed to be like more about allocating your time properly as opposed to being like, well, okay, you got grace, I'm going to cut you a break. It's more practical. Like if you're going 7, literally right after you, somebody's going twice that.
So it's a numbers game. It's about money. I also have to trust that our officer friend pulled over before sending that text.
Sure he did. He was probably already like eating a sandwich for lunch.
You better be.
Yeah.
Because if I catch any officers texting and driving, I will make a citizen's arrest. Can you citizen's arrest an officer of the law? Is that even possible?
Well, I mean, if you believe in QAnon.
Hey, you know what? If before the show's over, got a couple of minutes here, text us 314-436-7900. Can a civilian make a citizen's arrest of a police officer? I want to know
what?
I don't know. Texting and driving.
No.
Okay.
You wouldn't even get arrested for texting or driving.
I get a ticket.
You get a ticket. Unless you crash, I guess, then you might get.
Well, yeah, damn, dude. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful texting and driving.
We got a couple other texts here. One of them makes a good point, 314, that there just aren't enough police officers to enforce a lot of these things. Well, that's always been true for highways and speeding, right? I mean, there's just so much roadway, you're not going to be able to cover it. But it is particularly true with what we're talking about in a lot of this stuff downtown, where everybody's doing it more. I see it every day. I mean, it is literally every day, people blowing through lights. I'm not even talking about speeding, because the roads out here, what are they, 25, 35 miles an hour? Nobody's going that. Everybody's going 40 or 45, whatever. I get it down here, and I see it literally every day because they know they're not going to get pulled over.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know what's funny, and this is kind of a bad thing, but I will admit that I don't always know what the speed limit actually is. If you could tell, Kevin is reading a text and not listening. So I'm gonna steal the text from him because he's being a jerk right now. That the cop says that they're currently
officer friendly.
Officer friendly is Officer Texty. That's what I'm calling him. He is stationary and shooting my radar. So he is pulling people over.
Hey, where are you, dude?
And he or she also says that we can just call the supervisor
Oh,
if
that's
we
a good
witness.
point. You can't do that.
How am I going to call them? No, the
I wouldn't do that.
Well, it depends on what's going on.
First of all, I'm not staring into a squad car if I'm passing them on a highway. I'm not like making eye contact and looking to see if they're on their phone.
You know, well, I'm looking at everybody.
Are you Captain Curious?
I am the opposite of aloof when I'm on the road and unaware. I pay attention to people. That's why I get out of the way for people on the left who are driving faster than me, because I am considerate.
Officer friendly, stay safe. And I hope you're not on the highway.
Officer Texty, you better be careful. I'm watching.
Thank you guys for jumping in. We obviously have Amy back tomorrow. DGS is coming up next here on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. So it's back to school time. Seems like all the kids do during summer is drag dirt into the house. Most house